I say to you? What sort of
Studying
like?
human behavior.
Okay, so how does one study that human behavior? Again, I'm sorry,
You have
I
to
mean,
observe it,
so how does one observe it through over years?
or
So do you know?
ask someone questions about.
Well, do you know
Mm.
why it's so hard for us to actually create a
All right, we might have a problem. I don't know if we I don't know if we have a moderator. I could just go jump on James's panel and we can just do it, but I would like to have a moderator. I don't know if Easy's got something going on. Maybe he forgot, or maybe he's got an emergency he's got to deal with, or maybe he just forgot and he's sleeping. I don't know. Oh man. Uh, I think James is severely underprepared. Farney can moderate. I know. I think Farney can moderate it too. Huh. I'm not trying to spy on
not that
James, but
simple
I'm trying to hear if he says
psychology?
anything to me.
It ain't, man. Shit.
I think it's still gonna go. Should still be going.
Yep.
I don't know if I should jump
Yeah,
into
it's not that
James.
simple. Yeah, so definitely.
I actually
Psychology is one of
oh, sorry, man.
psychology is one of them tough questions and
We
tough
haven't
things
started
to
yet.
talk
We're
about.
waiting.
You
We're
know?
waiting for a moderator. I'm wondering if I should just join James's panel for now.
Oh, but you don't know Sigmund Freud. It's a Freudian. You're Freudian or Jungian. That's the terms, and
Yeah,
you
they're
know
both
that's
crazy.
how I see it. You get
It's
others, of
taking so
course.
long. I think he needs to
There's many,
postpone. Yeah,
you know,
possibly.
in the
Yeah.
philosophy of man, why we've come to be where we are. You know,
Yeah. Yeah. I have I'm sorry. I gotta interrupt. But I have DM'd Speakeasy. I don't know what's going on there, Barney. But I'm gonna go talk to JS though on his and everything and see what we can work out.
Does he know that I'm watching him? Well, he knows I'm in his chat, so I never moderated, but I could give it a try. I don't think it's gonna be super like contentious. Like I don't think you would be having to step in much.
Wait a minute. Oh, you're still in my chat. No wonder I could hear my. I didn't. Yeah, I didn't realize you still watching. No wonder I could hear you on my
Now he's
on your
responding to me
live. I
for
didn't realize you're still watching,
he's responding to 20
but I don't
seconds ago
know.
me.
We gotta probably figure something out,
You can't
JS, as far
moderate,
as another
James, because you're
moderator.
super biased and you're also
Yeah, jump up on my panel and we'll see what we can
do you
figure
want me
out.
to jump out, James? You want me to get out?
he doesn't have to get
I'll
You can
out.
jump.
stay. You can
Okay.
stay Plastic African until we
Cheers,
figure
man.
this out. We gotta figure this out, but
Cool.
yeah,
How do
probably best
I
just jump up on my panel there, JS, and we'll figure it out.
that says donation link. Where's the now I have to figure out how to get StreamYard going once I already have a stream going.
All right, Elder, we'll consider we'll on the mod by then. Hopefully we can.
Is We might just have to delay for like an hour because check. Mic works. I have to disable this camera. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. Okay. Check. Mic check 1 2. Hello. It's very low. It's very low. Let me just do this. Save this. I actually want to do a window capture here. Something like that. Check.
Oh, there he is. I do believe. Yep, there he is. Hello, JS.
What's up?
Not much.
Okay. Just getting this stuff. I don't want to do that. Huh. I'm trying to make this larger, but not full screen. I just wanted to fill up the window. I guess I could just put it over here. Go. Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't messaged me or anything, so.
Yeah, I haven't seen nothing either. And he still hasn't showed up that he's gone live or nothing either. So I guess I don't know. I don't know what's going on.
Hello?
Jeez, now I'm at 182. What the heck? 183. I definitely got a boost in subscribers today. One
Yep.
heck of a boost today.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Oh yeah, we can hear you, or at least I know I can. Plastic.
Mm-hmm. I like it. Jesus is Savior. Christ is King, sir. I like it. With the American fucking flag in the background. Yeah.
Yeah, I know what you meant, Barney, but I wanted to go ahead and up you the mod there too in the chat. I know what you meant.
Mm-hmm.
Because you're already you're like my co-host, so it's like you might as well be the mod in the chat too. Didn't I make you mod on my No, I didn't make you mod on my server.
See Sal for moderator. Yeah, I didn't know. I was planning on like linking streams or whatever you do, stream sharing or however you do it, but
Yeah.
I end up just making a separate stream. So the chats aren't going to be linked, unfortunately.
Yeah. Oh, perfect. So I can easily just give some of my powers. That's easy. It's cool. Yeah, we all do want to see this. Yeah. I want to be part of it because I am one of the debaters after all.
I like the squares more than the circles. I'm not a fan of the circles on StreamYard.
Oh, this?
Around the cameras. Some people like
Oh,
them.
what's the
But
circle? What do you
Oh,
mean
around the cameras. Oh, okay.
the
So.
circle, not the square? What's that?
you know, some people have circles
Hold
with
on,
your
I'll
face.
show him.
Your face is in a circle.
Oh, you prefer the
Uh,
circle, not the square.
No, I prefer the squares.
Yeah, damn right you do. Yeah, man, because we're all square,
Yeah.
and also it gives it better relief, doesn't it? You know,
Let's
What?
see.
a relief. You know.
He's talking about this.
Oh,
I've never
here we
seen
go.
that one.
Well, it's a different color,
I like it. It's square.
but it's
Get
a square.
16, 16.
Nevertheless, the idea is square though.
You're the boss, though. You're the boss.
Uh,
James the
Nah,
ball.
the rectangles are better. There you
There we
go.
go.
like
Yeah,
that.
Yeah.
yeah, man.
Well, I've also got this orange one for rent.
Oh, that's cool. I like that. I like that color. It works in my
Mm,
beard.
You
and
got
then I got
red and green Christmas one?
Oh
uh
shit. Do we?
I could probably figure it out somewhere, but
Sorry, chat. We're a little
um,
delayed. We're trying to find a moderator.
yeah.
Uh-oh.
If I went through it, I could probably find that color somewhere. Well, I could make that color actually. You said red and green. I could make green or red, but I don't know if I can make red and green. Um, because you don't have it where you can blend the two colors. They're too far away on the
Uh,
spectrum.
you can't do like letters in red and background in green.
Well, I don't think so. Nah, not from what I can tell. Um,
You would
probably
have
can. Do what?
who would you have destroyed in the racism debate? Me? SC Wolverines? Nah. Nah.
But I mean,
That's
I could probably do more of that different color thing where I have like the like red and then the letters in green. I could probably do that easier on Streamlabs, you know, than on here. Because Streamlabs has a lot more options of what you can do on Streamlabs
yes,
than
man.
StreamYard does. And it's cheaper too. That's the crazy part. It's cheaper. But
Mustard.
more
We still want the debate. It's
but
gonna happen, Jalen. We're just trying to figure out if
we're
we're just gonna
delayed.
wait. Maybe Easy's just waking up late, or
Yeah.
if
It's
somebody
just a
else wants to
moderator
fill in.
thing. I mean
I'll be right back.
well, I hope you're not waiting to die there, Mike. I hope not.
I hope not. Neither do I.
Uh, and then he asked, "Is this hell?"
Hello? Is it?
Well,
Really?
well,
Sorry. Should I get out of here, James?
do what?
But am I still good to stay here with you
Yeah,
guys?
you're good. Yeah,
Can
yeah.
I be part of the
Until
debate? I'd love to.
well, you're good
I'll
until
be
the
the
debate
random. I'll
starts.
be the
Once the
random.
debate starts, you gotta go. You know, when it's time for the
Oh,
debate to
damn.
start. Yeah,
I
and then
forgot.
you can come back
Damn.
afterwards when
Oh, shit.
we have the Oakland panel.
You can kick
Yeah,
me
we'll have
out.
an Oakland panel afterwards
That's
and
not fair.
everything, where people can ask questions or do the question thing. One, I didn't really matter to me on that one.
Should I remember
Whether or
Sigma
not people
Freud?
sent in questions to answer or did open panel, it didn't really matter to me
Okay,
on
cool.
that one.
Good, James.
Uh,
I like it.
you're the Mike. You're the one that I know from Gen X Jeffs, right? Like just to clarify, but I'm in the southwest part of Virginia though. I'm in the southwest myself.
Have stubborn one moderate. I don't know where
I
he
thought so,
is.
Mike. Yeah, I thought so. And I think you're like closer to the actual coastline as far as Virginia. But yeah, I thought you said Virginia Beach. I wasn't for sure, but I thought you was closer to the coastline.
Where's Farney? Farney, get up here.
Yeah, Farney would probably be the best. Yeah, yeah. To get the ball rolling. Yeah. Uh, wait. Yeah, still nothing from Speak. No message. No, he's back on Discord, but yeah, I don't know what's going on. He's not gone live yet or nothing. So
I don't want him to think we like cut him out of it or something, but this is my only night off this week, so
yeah,
I'm ready
and
to
then that
go.
means we have to. Yeah, I'm ready to go as I can be, man. I don't know how you gonna be though. I've never actually formally debated you though.
You didn't
I've
watch
heard you tough.
you didn't watch any of them for preparation, any of my debates? Slacking,
Well,
James.
I watched a little bit of it, but that don't mean you're gonna be the same way with me though. Personally, and I also gotta experience things in order to usually understand how someone is. Because just because I've seen videos about something doesn't mean I really understand you and everything. Like it would be if I experienced it myself and dealt with you personally. Because I would be going in with a lot of assumptions, and I don't really like doing assumptions. That just yeah, that makes an ass of me going in with
Yep.
all these assumptions.
When you assume, you make an ass of yourself.
No, yeah,
Not you and me, just yourself.
no, yeah. Test yourself. Oh, he thought today was the 16th, but he's getting set up though. Is what he said. So
Oh, so
yeah, he missed out what day it was, which I had a slip up yesterday myself, so I can understand that. Everything I had a slip up yesterday, thinking
so if he's getting
the
set up,
wrong
that
date.
means we're gonna go into his StreamYard.
Yeah, I guess so.
He did get back to you, man?
Yeah, he
Yeah, he
just
got back
messaged
to me.
both of
Yeah,
us.
Good, 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 good.
yeah.
I will say this while I'm up here. Since there's only one race, the human race, and the races that would be divided are made up by humans, therefore racism doesn't exist.
Yep,
It's just plain simple. It's just
It's
a way to
plain,
divide us.
yep. That's what
plainly
So
I
anybody
heard.
stupid.
that believes in that, guess what? You're partaking in racism by doing so.
Yeah,
No offense to people, but it's plainly just stupid.
that's pretty
I
much what
haven't
I
watched your
argued.
debate, but that's my point on it.
I
Yeah.
said that, and then I said it's also just hateful, dumb people. Usually, it's not.
Yeah, if you ever talk to a racist or anybody that
They hate
believes in
everybody. They
racism,
hate their own
they're
race.
racist. Yeah, because in order to even believe in
Oh,
racism, you literally have to be separating humans into separate categories based on
but
your
is it?
decision of.
But no. Isn't that true about like you don't get Olympic swimmers from Congo, do you? You get runners from like Kenya.
Well,
You know,
there's
that's
different
what.
ethnicities, there's
No.
different
But
cultures,
it's
but there's
genetic.
not different races.
There's genetic dispositions of us,
Correct.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm
So
not denying that.
yeah, wouldn't that be saying straightforward? Then we are separate in that term.
In ethnicities, correct, yes, but not
Yeah.
Right.
races. Races don't exist.
Nationalities and ethnicities are real.
So, for
Race.
instance, you might have somebody from Italy that has, I don't know, a certain diet that's better for them than somebody that's in Germany.
Yeah. Hang
But
on.
they would both be classified as
Hang
white,
on.
which is stupid.
But that comes from the mother. Like if you, like if you eat something that is so different from you, that's why you get deli belly. You ever heard of that
Deli
term?
belly.
No,
Yeah.
I get that
You
with
go
eating like processed meats and all
yeah,
that, and
deli belly. Yeah. No.
yeah, but that's not my point. My point is even within these man-made, made-up, crappy, stupid, lame race categories, there are ethnic differences between them. Correct?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. So then
Genetic
it's a
difference.
dumb category. I have no idea.
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
we're getting
That's the
close to
truth.
getting started because he's definitely getting set up, and he sent me a message and everything. So we're getting close, everybody out there. So yeah. Now I'm gonna let JS open up first. I'm gonna go ahead and say that now. I'm gonna let JS open up first.
I will find that beeping one day. One day I'll find that beeping. I unplugged all my smoke detectors in the house because I'm trying to find where the damn beeping's coming from.
Well, someone suggested earlier when I was streaming, you was up here on and everything, that it could be something that's telling you about electrical problem or something.
Power surge protector. I
Yeah, it
unplugged
could be
both of
telling
them.
you.
I unplugged both of them, and then when I had them upstairs to try to change the battery and stuff, I
Yeah.
heard it not coming from the same room I was in, and I had both surge protectors in the room with me. So I have no idea what it could be, James.
Oh man, there's no
Yeah,
telling.
it
Man.
is driving me insane. I literally have like each smoke detector on a table, my carbon monoxide on the table, my power bar in the same room, and I'm still hearing it here. It's do 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 do. It's freaking me out, man. 2 weeks of this beeping. You guys heard it, right?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. That got me insane. I mean, just hearing it through your mic is insane enough. Much
Yeah,
less
you can imagine it like living with it. Yeah, and I have hyper like hearing and stuff, so like it's driving me crazy. And imagine like it's doing it while I'm sleeping too, because I hear it everywhere in the house. I have no effing clue where it's coming from. And the fact that other people hear it is the only thing that's keeping me somewhat sane. Yes, Amanda. I know your secret camera's got to be around here. Just tell me where it is. I'll put new batteries in. You can find a new hidey hole for it, and I'll be good as long as the beeping stops.
You are fine with waiting on Speakeasy, right? You're cool with that, JS?
Yeah, I'm just watching.
Yeah, no, I'll obviously like hop down and stuff, but you'll probably go into his anyways. But I'm just
we're probably gonna
his
be going to
company until that happens.
And then I want to do the restreaming thing to here, and JS is probably gonna do the same thing.
Barney, we choose you.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's asking if we already started. I'm telling him we started streaming, but we haven't started debating.
Yeah, well, he said he said he's gonna message you. Yeah, he told me that he's gonna message you. So.
Getting ready for the debate. Is mental illness like race and just made up? Or is mental illness real?
I thought it was about like Sigmund Freud.
Just gonna say, all my mods, just do your mod stuff. That's all I really need y'all to do in chat. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. You know, simple as that.
Yeah, and my mods don't do anything. Don't do anything.
Don't do anything. So wait a minute. So no modding there for
Except
your mods?
TOS. Kick them out if they break TOS. First, remove the message.
That means they got. Hey, that would indicate that they have to do something. It would be a logical fallacy to say one can't do nothing if they have to do something.
They do what I tell them to do.
Fallacy. Like,
if choosing not to act is in fact a choice, then isn't the fact that you're not acting an action in itself?
Doesn't that say he has a bias?
Yeah, really. Yeah. but yet they can't do nothing.
Just block Freddy. Yeah. How'd you like talking to Freddy this morning?
Didn't like that.
No,
No
sir, I
offense
didn't
to
like
Freddy.
it.
That was so funny. I was cracking up. I've been through that a million times with him for years. So
Bro,
That
it's
was the
nice to
whole day.
did you
hear
hear the
other
color of
people.
crystal he wanted, man?
I went
You
to
didn't
sleep
say
after a
that, man.
while, but
I
He
got him to
just
tell
went
me
in
he
and
wants a
out in the
royal
chat.
purple crystal, and he, in fact, did not have breakfast this morning.
yeah, he's not very good with hypotheticals.
Oh, Caldy, you were watching that.
Yeah, Cowdy was
That was the
watching it.
most fun I had with Freddy the whole day. The fact that he's so like, he actually answered the question. I'm like, you want blue crystal? He's like, well, I would work in LA with the crimes and all that. Well, what about a red one? He's like, well, what's the problem? Well, how about a purple one? Then you're kind of representing both sides.
No
It's like royal
spurging,
purple.
yeah,
I
no
want royal
spurging,
purple.
yeah.
He
We
had
don't do
no clue.
spurging in my
He
chat.
He thought I was going to cast a spell on him with crystals and trap his soul or something. I'm like, dude, I'm a Christian. I don't do that kind of crap, man. Like,
Oh, okay, Elder, I got you. Just in case you're gone, I
Holy
got
shit.
you. Because you step away and everything, I got you.
Gonna get beep.
But you'll still be listening.
beep,
Elder.
beep, 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 beep.
So I'm
It's-
still playing it.
Dude,
It's somewhere.
it's not like on a set interval, so I have
Half
no
the
idea
panel
when
is
it's going to
not
start, or I'd
spurging.
be able to like track it down. It's
don't-
different amounts of beeps.
Different amounts of beeps. Man, it's got to be one beep somewhere.
Oh,
It's just beeping
beep in
away.
here all the time.
Then stop it. Then stop it. Stop beeping there. No, don't,
Well, you can't help the beep there when it's a
no,
beeping
don't be like that.
outside of yourself.
Is the beep's real? Okay.
I mean, it's like
He's got
trying to.
five
It's like
beep.
I was debating on downloading like a decibel meter on my phone, but I don't think it would actually matter.
Do you know triangulation? Yeah.
Oh yes,
Yeah,
but
so
it's one of those chirps that sounds like it's everywhere.
No, okay, so it's not in your room then. It's
No,
coming
I
out.
hear it upstairs. I hear it downstairs. I hear it everywhere. The same volume everywhere.
Are you
Beep,
sure you're
beep,
not in a
beep, beep.
gangster's paradise?
I've been debating. I asked like AI to please help me with this, and
Debating.
It needs
Yeah,
to be
debating.
the AI going telling me,
So-
"Oh, where's the beep coming from?" I
Yeah,
don't understand.
I told the AI, and it sympathized with me, where it's like I can understand how that could drive you crazy. So it said like turn off all the power in your house, and then that way you can narrow down if it's something plugged in or not. That's a pretty smart thing to say.
Very, very true. Yes.
Yeah.
So I had a problem with my PC not too long ago, and I was really fucked off by it. I was like, okay, I'm gonna take this thing apart. I realized what I did. I charged something off of a USB on it, and then the way I fixed it is I overclocked it, and it couldn't, and then reset. So the whole thing worked again.
That's
I
so
was like,
weird.
yeah, but that's like percussion, mechanics. When you hit something, bang,
Yes, the 80s technique. Whack.
Whack it, yeah.
that's
Yeah, and then it works
what it
again.
Make sure.
I mean,
That's how instead of like proper tearing it
that's how it
down.
worked in the 80s.
Well,
Have you
it worked.
ever had to replace the CMOS battery in your computer?
Oh fuck yeah! Oh
Yeah. I didn't even know it existed.
Oh
Like,
no, the 486. I did it in the 486. I still have a few.
yeah, I did it in my last computer, and it was going to be originally, like I thought it was going to be like hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars to repair. And then, no, before I figured out it was even the CMOS, right? A friend told me, like, have you checked the CMOS battery? I'm like, what? He's like, yeah, check it. I checked it, and I'm like, it's completely dead. And it's like, yeah, that's like a $7 thing. I'm like,
yeah.
I was so happy.
Good. That's almost like what they call the car, an alternator. The CMOS battery is like almost like the alternator. Yeah, it's true, because you don't really need nothing much but the BIOS to restart. Yeah. And these days, it's like, but they still need it because you know how it works, don't you? You do. So,
Not really.
so basically, every quartz crystal has a resonance, right? Every part of our chipset, which is using was it still, I guess, but it's still graphene, isn't? No, it's not graphene yet. But the
Hey,
quartz,
I'll be right back. Means we're still waiting on Speakeasy.
Sounds
yeah,
good, man.
beep,
Step away.
It's like
beep,
I don't remember.
beep. No, but it is. It's like the quartz crystal is doing this. That's the time of things. That's how we have timings and circuitry works. Because humans have been able to like go, oh, poof. We've been able to take that as a time. Quartz crystal, hence
Like
clocks.
0101.
Yeah, timing, man.
Yeah.
Timing. Comms, no bombs. I was always taught that, in the military. No comms, no bombs. Danger close is danger close, but no comms, no bombs. As soon as you say, oh, go, go. And I mean, I swear to God, like, was that those thermobaric bombs? Oh, oh, they were amazing, man. When I saw that shit hit Afghanistan and they had them, the thermobarics, oh, I was like, oh, wow, that is amazing. See more of that. Yeah, I love it. I love it.
What
But it's all
are
time.
are you crazy? I knew what the CMOS was. It's just like a watch battery type thing, right? Like, but
Of course you did. Yeah, I know. Yeah, and
I
it's
didn't understand the like reasoning as to why they couldn't just use your power from you being hooked up to say
no,
your power supply.
they can't because it has to. The ROM has to remember. The ROM. That's why CMOS exists because of read-only memory. Once you switch it on, the motherboard has to speak to the CPU, has to speak to every other device. Yeah, it
Why
can't
can't it just get its power? I don't get
because,
it.
because if you switch it once, it switches off. Okay, if it
Yeah,
doesn't any recall, it can't go back. So
yeah.
you have to have that little piece of like power that reminds it of where it sits in time.
Uh,
Time, yeah. That's why if you don't have the
but
battery, it won't turn on. We'll go, oh, what's wrong? Nothing's wrong. It can't time itself. You can't add that. You have to have a charge to put it through the silicon wafer, which still has a little quartz crystal that goes.
hmm.
Mm, yeah, you have to have it. Yeah, you can't. We can't get away with that. Every little piece of electronic we use still has to have a little charge. If it atmospheric charge, but the bigger, it can't. It has to have a spark plug
Why can't you just have it get that little charge from the power supply?
because it has to have a memory, almost a reminder of where you set it. So if I go to a PC right now, say, and I take out that battery, right, from your PC,
Yeah.
yeah, and then it doesn't work, and I replace it, your BIOS changes, it goes back to zero, right?
Oh.
Yeah, it does, yeah, and then you have to reset it or yeah. But if you have the BIOS code in that, it'll go, oh, do you remember the code? No, it won't. It'll just lock it out for you. Try it. Seriously. Go to your BIOS, set a code, take out the coin, and then do it again and see, like, oh, can I get in? But if you know the code, you'll get in.
Hmm.
Weird.
I don't remember having to do any of that like weird stuff. It just like worked, I thought.
Do you know
But
what DNA?
but my friend walked me through everything, so
When did you start using PCs?
oh, it did back in DOS days, dude.
So what,
Hey,
93?
No.
Yeah,
No, Windows didn't exist.
yeah, 93,
uh,
94. Yeah, Windows That was
Hey, I got an update.
I'm 39, dude. Windows didn't exist when I first used a computer. Like,
Mm.
yeah.
Yeah, the same.
I got an update for the debate.
Mm.
I don't even remember what it was. It was just DOS, I think. I don't remember having anything else.
Wow, cool. So
Yeah,
I
I
got
had
an
to type in like C :
yeah.
//
See, Colin. No, it used to be like auto exec.
I got an update for the debate. The debate is going to be at 10 o'clock.
Oh, okay, so 19
everybody.
minutes from now.
Yeah, and then because he scheduled it for 10 o'clock, and then hello, I keep forgetting how to say the first part of his name.
I know Gen X. I look really young. I know. I used to play Alley Cat.
Carney's Ride. There we go. Carney's Ride. Hello, sir. Welcome in. Welcome in anybody else that's joined and I haven't said hello to. Welcome in for everybody.
Anybody ever used to play Alley Cat?
IBM Alley Cat, yes. I did.
Amazing, right?
No, it was terrible.
No, it was the best game, man.
This is so terrible.
The dancing
Don't do this. Don't you do this. No, it's terrible.
Yes, the dancing cheerleader cat girls for you every time you beat a level.
Awful. So awful. How do you remember that? Alley Cat, yeah. That's what it says. What's your best? Yeah, it goes Alley Cat, yeah, by IBM. Yeah.
Yeah, it's so amazing, dude.
So I grew up with Pascal, QBasic, yeah, C#,
Windows 3.
Yeah,
That's a long time ago. Windows
and
3.
then SQL, of course.
That's forever
SQL
ago.
language. So Oracle was one of the big things with SQL language that I understood with DBA, Database Administrator, and how you grow from that. And that's why I'm always loved games, because games have always GPU is always offset. You know, the CPU dictate. I love it. That's true, man. Like you said, do. Bastard. How did you remember that? How do you remember that? Wow.
You ever play Buck Rogers? That was a great game too.
No, I played no, not Buck Rogers, but I played the flight game.
Yeah, like Buck Rogers is kind of a flight game. It wasn't like 3D space or anything. It's just side to side, but it felt like I was flying. I was a very simple kid. Castle was a great game. Infidel. I still have Infidel. I still have a lot of these, Zork.
Oh man, Zork, yeah. Return to Zork, of course. Damn, man, it wasn't Buck Rogers. Jesus, what was the one? It was
Are there ads running?
Chuck Yeager.
Asteroids is what
Chuck
Jeremy's
Yeager.
saying, maybe.
Yeah,
Chuck Yeager.
Yeah, Chuck Yeager.
What was that, JS?
Chuck Yeager.
Somebody
was one
told
of the
me there's
best
a bunch of ads
yeah.
running on my
Check it out, man. You know who Chuck Yeager is, don't you?
Oh. Aren't you monetized though? So I mean.
Yeah, but some streams I don't want ads running in the middle. So I fixed it.
Oh.
Are you talking about Chuck Yeager's Air Combat?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, dude, that game was too high of graphics, dude. That came out way later.
You don't want ads running on a debate.
No, but I grew up where my friends' dads had that technology. Back then, Chuck Yeager. Yeah, for real. I was like, oh shit.
But yeah, they're not reading chat. I do believe there, Jeremy.
I
do not believe.
In all fairness, Buck Rogers came out like 1 year before that game.
They're just annoying.
Well, actually, no, 1984 is
they
when
don't care about you.
Wait, what?
Jeremy's talking in the chat to you guys, and you're just completely annoying him.
No, I said asteroids when Jeremy talked.
About him.
You didn't hear me, Jeremy? I said asteroids. But he didn't say that was the game, so.
Okay, he has his thumbnail up.
Yeah, he has his thumbnail, and he has it where it says upcoming. Like,
does he have?
Gonna start at 10 o'clock.
Does he have a StreamYard link up yet?
10 o'clock.
No.
What?
He doesn't have his
Oh, he doesn't
StreamYard
have the
link up.
link up yet. No,
He'd probably send it. Well, how's he gonna send
he'll
it to
probably send it
us
closer to 10 o'clock,
directly so people don't jump in?
or send it to us personally. I could send it to us personally instead of putting it up there. That way, no one else can join in.
Magi
Well,
hat or dunce cap? Which of the two?
Dark dunce hat.
I think it's a Magi hat.
I like that. And the dunce cap, or could it be the hunting cap?
It could be
think
the
it's the-
dunce Magi cap.
I think
Yes,
it's the Magi cap.
that's pretty sweet.
Yeah,
I
man,
think that's
you
what he
know,
said before, the Magi cap. Because I've
So-
seen him enough
Oh,
times
now it's
on
gangster Magi hat.
Damn
I
right.
promise I'll drop the game after this, like the game talk. But just a fun memory is when I was like 3 years old, I was playing Alley Cat and I was really good at it, right? And I wanted my mom to play, and she'd freak out because she couldn't even get on a trash can.
You remember that at 3 years old?
Yeah,
You really do.
yeah.
Holy shit, man!
Yeah, I'm not
Ah,
normal.
that's special. That yeah, clearly. Whoa! Holy shit! Okay, I take my hat off to you.
All right, but I did do bad stuff. Like, so you know how like you had the insertable RAM into the IBM, right? So we called it the hamburger, and then when we wanted to just reset the computer, we just take it out and put it
Yes.
back in.
It's just going to be me and JS, Jeremy. Just me
We
and
never
JS.
wrecked the computer, but
One-on-one debate. So, formal debate.
it was so bad.
Do you know why you hear beep? Because you did that.
That's right. It's revenge.
And you down there because you did that.
And it's not
to a
and it's
computer,
not going to
man.
be for a title in VK because we're doing a
It's gonna
formal
haunt you
debate
forever,
just
man.
on psychology.
I actually
I
highly
just wanted to keep it
disliked
on
when they.
psychology alone. I didn't want it to be any other subjects that came up.
I highly disliked when they changed the order of the arrow keys on a keyboard. You know how they used to be like a plus sign? Also, I can't stand anything but mechanical keyboards. It drives me insane. I need like the
Well,
physical
we might do
feedback kind of thing.
a poll at the end to see who won. I don't know how it's going to work. Did Speak say we was going to do a poll at the end to see who won their JS?
I don't know. He didn't say that. I don't really care for polls at the end of debates, but if you guys want to, that's
Well, I mean, people want to know who won the debate, so we probably should do a poll.
Yeah, but if you guys don't want to, then that's
I don't
chill.
mind. I don't care. I mean, it don't bother me if we do a poll. It's probably best to do a poll.
Should
at
be
the
a
end, though.
unanimous thing, though, in my opinion.
I don't believe in democracy.
Yeah, we know.
Don't you?
No, I don't.
Why's that, man? You don't believe in democracy because America is just not democratic because Trump shouldn't have won. Corn Pop won over Trump. Oh.
Huh? Trump
Well,
won.
Corn Pop. I mean, remember, Corn Pop was a bad dude,
Yeah.
right? And Corn Pop
He
lost,
hung out
right?
around with
You
real
know,
bad boys.
Remember, and remember, he used to have kids on his lap, and his hair used to oh yeah.
They
And-
pushed the
and
hair
the guy
down
was
on his legs.
pomade, oh man, it was not right, man. Corn Pop won. Jesus. It's so funny, isn't it? You reckon we're like in the World War II phase or 3 or 4 already? I mean, you
10
guys
minutes.
are like a Corn Pop. Corn Pop's gonna hand over to fucking Trump, man. This is gonna be
You
brilliant.
ready, JS? You ready for the debate?
Yeah. I was
You-
born ready.
You ready to take some? You want some blood, right?
Oh, go on,
Right.
get me in.
So you seem like the right age, Plastic. Did you ever watch Inhumanoids? No. Oh, one of the best shows ever to get canceled. Got canceled because of like Christian mothers getting upset about like a bunch of killing in a
Well,
kid show.
Well, that's true, Jeremy. But the people want to know who won. So, because people are actually from what I've heard, people are betting.
But that
on this
doesn't even
thing.
prove who won. That's
So-
just a popularity contest.
Well, I mean, technically the people choose who won, really, because it would be kind of idiotic to think we choose,
No,
because obviously we're going to choose ourselves.
I don't know.
We're
I
a little
don't see
biased,
that.
don't you think? Like to choose who won, right? Like,
Nah, an America won, man. Originally,
obviously.
come on, man. Yeah, damn right. But
America
also
wins
stopped
either way.
yeah, I mean, yeah, amen, amen, man. Ain't fucking men.
Unless
Somebody
Easy
says
wins
something.
as moderator and then
Amen,
Canada
man.
wins.
Jesus
How does Easy win as
Christ,
moderator? He's just gonna play
Mhm,
moderator.
mhm.
He can't
I like
win.
it.
He's not part of the
That's good.
debate.
Sorry, man. I'm biased that way.
Let me check it.
I don't know if you guys would ever want to check it out, but if you ever want to check out an old cartoon that was amazing, I put it in the back chat there. Inhumanoids. So good. I'm geeking out. Sorry, guys.
If he sends, if
That's
he
okay.
sends the
What's
link
wrong
in
geeking out?
Discord and I click on it, it's going to take me to freaking Safari or whatever stock web browser my computer has. I guess I could just copy it and paste it in Google.
Yeah.
Chrome.
Well, it's not declarative, but it'll help people choose who they think won. That way, the people who did, if they did really bet, can
The big debate streams usually don't do
already
polls.
liking the humanoids. This is
the
crazy.
what? Yes.
Like bigger
Inhumanoids.
debate streams like Crucible or
The
Modern Day
intro, man?
Debate, they usually don't do polls at the end.
Told you. You
Yeah.
know this show's good based off the intro. Yeah, man. Literally, they kill like people at that show. It's a kid's show. Like all the time. It's crazy.
I mean, that's what's so cool
keep
about
getting
our
ads.
age is because these things existed because of our
Yes.
time. You know what I mean? They were telling us it was like we were from that. You know,
Yeah.
to be free from this, like the understanding and all that. Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah. Yeah, I get it.
I don't want to spoil it, but like,
don't do it.
No, we're all tired
so
of waiting,
good.
aren't we, Mike?
Do not.
and it's the animation style is like a comic
okay,
book.
bro.
It's
We'll
so
be
cool,
good.
man.
Well, it's almost there, man. Not much longer now. We got like 6 minutes and 40 seconds. We're almost there, bro.
Getting a bunch of conflicting stuff. Seems like people are in favor of no polls mostly, though.
Yeah,
poll.
that's Jeremy.
Let's do a poll to see if we
That's
should take a
Jeremy
poll.
speaking. One voice.
Yeah, do a poll to see if a poll should be done.
What's one voice speaking? I don't hear much from others.
Well, JS has a couple of different ones too. I'm watching both your guys' streams.
Oh, okay. I gotcha. I'm just basically watching mine. I ain't really watching JS's. I got it pulled up, but I'm not really paying it no mind. As far as his chat.
You're like
No,
getting into debate mode, man. I'm just chilling, so like.
Yeah, I'm the one up here getting ready to debate. Yeah.
I'm gonna follow up with you, Plastic African, though, man.
Oh
Well,
yeah,
what-
man, you gotta do it. You gotta do it, man.
good.
You know what? I'm gonna probably show that to a few people, and they're gonna buy some of those games, and
He just
you
started
know,
his stream.
man, they're
Yeah,
gonna
man.
they're gonna get into it.
Yeah,
That like
just
dinosaur looking dude, I owned a toy of him growing up.
Oh
We are
damn!
getting ready to get started.
Oh, that's sick. Oh, I used to play like again. I had friends, as we do, but it was the fucking GI Joes, and he had like all the GI Joe. You know, like all of them. It was,
Yeah.
I think
you
he's
know what I
sending
mean?
a,
Like
think he's
big
sending a
ass
link right now.
helicopter shit and all that crap.
I never owned GI Joes, but I had like alien toys, like from Aliens and stuff.
You didn't? Did you?
Yeah, I used to in the bathtub. I'd play with the gorilla alien, so he'd fill his head with water and spit acid.
Sick. Seriously?
Okay, he just
Yeah.
sent,
Alien toys.
he just sent me the
I
link.
still have them. Anyways, we should drop out. Good luck on your debate, guys.
Cheers.
All right, thank you.
Mm.
Copy this link. Put it in here. Nope, wrong link.
Link.
This is taking me to the wrong thing.
You just drop out, I guess, when you're ready, Jeff.
Yep, I'm about to. Just 1 second. Okay, close this. Check, check, check. Okay. Let me fix this. Huh, that's odd.
Nobody can hear you. You're like, you got your mic in your mouth. It's not a, take it out of your mouth. They actually, from conception, have all the parts required to form every single piece of your body. Yep, at conception.
Still a social construction.
How is that
but
a
I
social
think it's
construction?
like-
How is it a social construction? Women like men that get shit done, so men go get shit done.
Pimp and feed show.
Was it done right? I make the call, it's done right, huh? Come on now. No, you want me to check out? Don't push it,
You can't even engage
No,
with
no,
a
you don't.
hypothetical. What kind of fucking
No, I
intellect
can
level do
engage
you
with you.
think you're on?
You're trying to say that if rape is good and that this.
Without you, I can feel myself so good. Feel so good.
Welcome, everybody, into another Speakeasy Show night. Okay, we got a good debate on for you guys tonight. I know we're a little bit late, but it's still on, okay? Maybe we're not late, y'all. We're just early, all right? But we are here. The debaters are here. So let's bring them up. We got James Life Talks and JS Urban Adventures. Hold up.
Is he,
Oh.
is he muted or am I?
Who?
You're not muted.
Not able to hear y'all.
Check, check.
Okay, I was about to say, did I do that whole thing muted?
I don't
It's
understand.
James, because I hear JS as well.
Oh, I'm gonna have to go back out, come back in. I can't hear
Try
y'all.
it. Try that.
Do it.
Try that. That might work. I'm setting up a little bit different of a.
Does mine
Set
sound
up.
good or is it quiet? It's quiet sometimes.
No, you actually sound good.
Okay.
Actually sound good.
What the heck? Why
James,
is audio not working right?
are
I
you?
can't hear y'all.
You can't hear us. I'm trying to think. I just flipped my screen. No, I didn't.
We were
Okay.
just in his StreamYard and it was working, so I don't know.
Are you still okay? So,
That don't make any sense. What the
Josh in the crowd. Whoa. He's got Josh in the crowd says, "Oh, JS is all blue. I didn't know he was crippin."
That's right.
Shit.
Can't see my gingerbread house in my frame. I made a gingerbread house
Wait,
last
I
night.
got you because the new setup I'm doing right now is all right. Wait, boom.
There we go. I can hear y'all. Maybe I have my volume.
There you go.
Maybe I have my volume too low by accident.
What a fucking guy. Shit.
Let me present that back though. Get that back up here.
All right.
Yeah. Here we are, everybody.
It happens. It happens. It happens. It's
Yeah.
okay, James. All right. You guys are. Oh, wait. I also got to do one little thing, too, for when. Oops. For when we. Just so you guys can have a timer as well.
All prior openers.
Yeah, just so you guys see your time. There we go. Boom. All right. So, just to let everyone in the crowd know what's going on as they're getting in here, this is okay that we were setting up now, anyways. It gives more time for people to come in. But yeah. So, what the debate topic is tonight is psychology a myth? So, and to my best understanding, it's the study of psychology and all the different I guess diseases that come out of it. Is that what you were saying, right, JS?
Yeah, mental health, mental illness, psychology, they're all fake. They're all BS. It's misnomers. They're not named. We'll get into it, but
yeah, okay. So yeah, just so everyone understands, all right. So JS is on the side of the affirmative. Yes, it is. James is on the side of no, it isn't. And actually, we haven't decided who's going first, but I'm guessing because you're on the affirmative side, JS, that you're gonna go first.
yeah.
I say he could, yeah.
All right, yeah. Well, it makes the most sense anyway, so
yeah, it
that works
does.
perfect. So we're gonna do 6-minute openers, and for each of them, and then they are going to get into an hour of open floor. Then we'll do closing, and then we'll see if they want to stick around for answering questions, and if not, we'll just get into an after party later, wherever it's going on. But I'm not going to be here to interrupt and shit. I am just going to be here if people start going crazy and it gets to nobody can hear anything, and pull back the reins, get everybody back on point here. But I suspect it's going to go pretty good. So JS, whenever you're ready. Actually, if you guys should both, let's start out. James, we'll start with you, and then JS can do his, and then get into his opener. James, tell everybody where they can find you. Give yourself a little intro, just so you don't have to do that in your opener.
Okay. Well, you can find me on James Life Talks, which is it shows up down here on YouTube, Rumble, Twitch, and also got a Twitter, and then also have a secondary channel named James Gaming, which you can find on YouTube, Twitch, and Rumble as well. So yeah, we try to look up at James Gaming 225 for the gaming channel. That'd be easier.
All right. Thank you for that. And then JS, if you want to give yourself an intro and then just give me a little heads up when you're getting into your opener and we'll start the timer.
All right. JS Urban Adventures on YouTube. I think also on Instagram. Rumble, it's Dreadedconservative. And I do a Monday night news show, talk about politics, news, a little bit of theology and philosophy. And I stream all night on Monday and Tuesday night doing panels on Discord. And that's my little intro. And
all right,
let's get it going. James, you ready?
Apparently I'm having an audio issue on my end.
What?
Oh, no wonder it's the wrong. Never mind. Here we go. Maybe we can fix it now. Am I hearable now, Elder?
Oh, we
hear you.
Yeah, we heard you the whole time.
Well, it's on my end of my screen.
You might be having it. The audio being on both, is that giving you an issue?
Yeah. It just may have been the fact that it was on the wrong. It was switched on the wrong one.
Okay, but you got it fixed now.
Maybe. I'm not sure if he can. Can you hear me though, Elder, or not? On
Elder, answer him, motherfucker.
Oh, if he can even hear me.
I have your stream pulled up.
Can you hear me though?
Apparently, yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you
on my stream though.
Yeah, apparently, from what Jeremy is saying, no, you can't hear you. Just me and James or Josh are audible.
On my stream.
Yes. Something is going on with your audio. Maybe you don't have the right mic on that stream, so make sure you're using the same mic for both.
Well, I changed it and I thought it would have fixed it, but just try it again.
Caldy.
Jeez.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, hold on, folks, with the technical difficulties. What the heck?
James, can you just start a stream from my stream?
Let me see. Yeah, I can. Yeah, I can do that.
You want to just do that?
Yeah, that'd be easier. I'm looking in mine.
Let's just start it up quick.
Yeah, it's weird. These technical difficulties.
He's scared of you, JS. He's just delaying.
No, I'm not delaying.
I'm just playing, James. I'm just playing.
I will stream it just to run. Like
Jester added in. It's definitely a placebo effect right away. Well, might as well answer these two. It's definitely a placebo effect. Mind over matter. Jester's adding in. And then for £10, you're not my buddy, guy. I'm not your guy, buddy. You're not my friend, buddy. You're not my buddy, friend.
Not my buddy, pal.
Shit. This is the intimidation phase. James is working the fear into JS.
I hope you're prepared, James.
My profile picture. Wait, my camera's not on?
And then I'll fix it later about the let me make sure.
Oh. Okay, Confused me for a second. All right, you got it going.
Yeah, I'm
James?
good on Rumble. Let's go. Okay.
Okay. Now we ready to go. JS, whenever you want to start your opener, we'll get the timer. Hey, James, what the fuck you doing now?
Hold on, I gotta let what you. It
This
doesn't stop
man.
you from doing what you're doing. I just had to step over just to let
Well,
the
you
cat
got to
out.
hear the
The cat
opening.
was in here, man. Okay,
All
animals
right.
are out. Like, she
JS,
didn't wanna stay in here.
whenever you're ready, we'll start the timer.
All right.
That's
Psychology is a myth. Disclaimer, I am not a fake shrink or a real psychologist. I am a dumb guy on the internet with strong opinions, and I suffer from oppositional defiance disorder. Please be advised. Psychology, the autism spectrum, depression, anxiety, ADHD, PTSD, all words used to push communist, anti-ableist ideology. We've seen racism, we see transphobia, we see xenophobia, and now we see ableism. Mental health is just another way to other people and make more subgroups. Anyone who has read into psychology knows it is inconsistent and not observable, testable, and demonstrable. Mental illness rarely, if ever, has anything to do with chemical imbalances in the brain. The subjective and anecdotal nature of a patient's feelings and symptoms makes true knowledge of psychology impossible. It's also very apparent that the psychological industrial complex has committed dangerous and sometimes evil experiments in pursuit of producing and manufacturing often harmful new medications for mental ailments that will never be truly understood through physical methods. How can my opponent claim to be in the world but not of the world while identifying with worldly metrics? Ephesians 6:12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." In further arguments, I will convey the falsity that is psychological science, cognitive behavioral therapy, and deceptively called mental illness. I will start with the inconsistencies in the pseudoscience that is psychology or the study of the mind. Psychology is currently officially considered a science, but many argue it is not due to its failings in these areas. Quantifiability. Metrics like sadness and happiness are entirely subjective, immeasurable, and unquantifiable, leading to inaccurate analysis of studies. Experimental conditions. Psychological experiments often lack the proper controls. Reproducibility, predictability, and testability, all of which are inadequate. And terminology. Psychological lingo regularly has multiple interpretations, making it difficult to establish objective meaning. Next, I'll take us down the dark road of psychological experimentation that led us to the modern fake science we see today. Consider the little Albert experiments where Dr. John B. Watson instilled fear into children with loud noises, or the 50,000 lobotomies performed between 1949 and 1952, or John Money's experiments with gender psychology. The Osh conformity experiments demonstrated how outside influences actually affect our reality. In the Rosenbaum or Thud experiments, David Rosenhan demonstrated the unreliability of psychiatric diagnosis by sending mentally healthy patients into a psychiatric facility with false claims of hallucinations, leading to the healthy patients receiving pharmaceutical treatment. In the same way, people now abuse the psychiatric industry for access to narcotics. MKUltra experiments further demonstrated how the brain plasticity could be controlled through external influences, further proving that psychology is less mental and more physically or socially influenced. Formative psychology has a dark past riddled with many examples of evil, unethical experimentation with controversial results. Lastly, I'll focus on language and semantics, which are important to this debate. Language and words affect our reality and our mentality, or should I say our mental health. Mental health is defined as a person's emotional, psychological, and social well-being. Mental health is an impossibly subjective metric and a term that should not even be used in the medical industry. Mental illness, professionally described as health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior, I call a fake name for a spiritual ailment. You can't do science with metaphysics like thought, mind, emotion, feelings. These are all immaterial and subjective terms which worldly people use to control others. Mental illness is a symptom. Spiritual trauma is the root. We should address the root. Dr. Thomas Szasz, author of The Myth of Mental Illness, Foundation of a Theory of Personal Conduct, wrote, "Formerly, when religion was strong and science weak, men mistook magic for medicine. Now, when science is strong and religion weak, men mistake medicine for magic." The history of psychology is short and filled with nefarious, profit-driven, mostly liberal, godless quacks who want nothing less than literal mind control, and they get that by compelling treatment for the violation of fake social norms. This is just another cog in the wheel meant to separate, weaken, and make society en masse, but specifically boys and men, more dependent on the experts. I can elaborate on all of these arguments further, and we can look more in depth at the history of mental illness and psychology in the open dialogue. My opponent may claim to struggle with ADHD. Don't fall for it. James is a perfectly able-minded, brilliant young man who has unfortunately fallen into a dark world of belief in a naturalistic pseudoscience. Psychology has a dark history fraught with unethical experimentation, and it's currently in the midst of a replication crisis, and it has a unique incentive for accessing control of language and social behavior. This all sounds fancy, but it boils down to one main issue. People have been here somewhere between 6,000 and 200,000 years. Psychology has been here for 120 years. James, explain to me, how did we ever survive so long without the science of feelings? And that's it.
All right. Yield the last 30 seconds then?
Yep.
All right. Thank you for that opener, JS. And James, let me make sure we're at exactly. Okay. James, whenever you're ready and you want to start going with your opener, we'll start the timer whenever you're ready.
Okay, I'm ready.
Go ahead, start talking, and I'll start it up.
Oh well, I'm not a expert as well as like JS said. I'm not an expert, but my question is, how can JS, a person who claims to believe in like the idea of the world being round and stuff, and in that terms of believing in science, not believe also in the idea that science can be true for psychology if he's gonna talk about logical consistencies and things of that nature. And also, how can he claim to say it's like you can't quantify mental health problems, but yet also you can't really quantify God, so therefore how can he say that God is real then if you can't quantify God? I mean, in the idea of the quantifying of things. And I have so many questions for my opponent on lots of matters in this thing and everything. So yeah, I don't understand all these things. I guess I'll go ahead and yield the rest of the time because I really just want to get into the
all right
boards.
Yeah, that's fine. If you want to yield the rest of the time, that's totally up to you. I just want to ask something really quick. When you were opening, was the timer not on the screen?
No, it was there. I could see it.
Okay. At first, I thought I didn't have it on the screen. I was like, did I screw that up? But all right, so now we're gonna get into an hour of open floor. So you guys, again, it's just open. Only thing I'll be here for is if you guys are like going too much over each other and we can't hear you, or it gets like way off track or something, I'll rein you guys back in. But other than that, you guys go ahead. I expect it'll be great, and we'll start the timer up.
All right. You want to react to my opener first? Do you have anything you want to rebuttal from my opening, or you want me to respond to what you just said?
Well, I guess you can respond to what I just said first.
Okay, so as far it's interesting you brought up the shape of the Earth. So geology and astronomy, those are hard sciences. Those are things that are observable and testable and demonstrable. We can do experiments, we can make predictions, and we can guess what the shape of the Earth is. And then when the results come in, we can measure these things and we can see that we were accurate in our hypothesis or our predictions. So that's hard science. That's real science. So it's interesting that you deny hard sciences, but you accept the softest, most pseudoscience there is, which even psychologists agree that it's really not. You can't quantify it. You can't. How would you measure happiness, James? How do we measure happiness and sadness?
Well, you probably could measure it based on how someone's neurons react. Now, I don't know. I'm not a professional by any means. That is strictly my theory on how someone could measure that if they did a brain scan of someone
So
based on how the neurons react.
the idea that brain scans can show things like depression or anxiety or ADHD, that's been debunked for a very long time. People said it for a while, but that's not true. There's chemical imbalances, brain scans. Brain scans due to neuroplasticity, somebody who is depressed, quote unquote, they would have similar looking brains due to neuroplasticity, but you can't just brain scan somebody and analyze their mental illnesses. You have to basically talk to the person. You give them a form, measure your happiness on a scale of 1 to 10. One of the metrics they use is like how often somebody smiles every day. Could be an indicator of how happy they are. So that they're just using, basically judge your happiness on a scale of 1 to 10. If I ask you, how happy are you, James? That's how we figure it out. Does that sound?
I mean, again, why couldn't you possibly measure someone's? How could you not necessarily go to brain scans though?
You think you can do a brain scan to see how happy somebody is, or how sad somebody is, or how afraid?
Well, based on how the
is?
neurons react, and then also you could observe the person within a study as well. Could you not? Like if you did a study where you observed someone and stuff. I mean, granted, you can't replicate. I know you're gonna say replication is gonna be a problem, replicating the study again and everything, but that's not actually how the human brain works. Though we do different things in different situations. You can't really replicate the same thing, especially per person, because we're all individualistic. I mean, that's a little bit difficult to replicate, obviously.
Yeah, they can't replicate it.
But you're gonna have to replicate it only if you have the same people in the test, though.
Exactly, and everybody's different. Everybody's brain is different. Everybody's mind is different. It's immaterial. Thoughts and emotions and feelings are immaterial. We can't see them. We can't taste, touch, or smell them. But they're metaphysical.
But that's also a reason why there's a spectrum, though, too, when it comes to autism and ADHD. It's because there's differences in how people think and how they react, even amongst people that are autistic.
That's a category error. Autism's not a mental illness. It's a
well, that's debatable. And here we are debating about mental health.
It's not debatable. Autism is
because you have like
it's a developmental disorder
and issues as far as like how people react, behavioral issues. So behavioral issues are considered a mental disorder, correct? I mean, that's what I know.
Who determines what a behavioral norm in society is?
Who determines it?
Yeah.
Well, okay, the people in the psychology field have determined it, but it's also determined by God, not just those in the psychology field. Granted, they come up with a lot of things that are congruent. I mean, well, they are like what God would say would be normal behavior. I mean, even though they are in psychology, even though they're psychology,
the majority of psychologists are not Christians.
I won't say the majority of them are Christians. I'm not saying that, but the idea, just because they're not Christians doesn't mean they can't have the same similar ideas of what would be normal though to God. I think you would not say that couldn't be possible, right?
Sorry, what was the question again? What's not possible?
Just because they're not godly, or God people, it doesn't mean that they can't have these same ideas of what would be considered normal. Though, because there's obviously certain things that every culture has agreed to is abnormal, though, but not every culture, follows God, though, and not every people all over the planet follows God, but yet everyone can agree on, well, obviously self-deletion is not, someone self-deleting someone else is not okay, right? But yet they're not all following God, so why can't someone do that same thing in psychology? I mean,
I'm not saying there can't be a Christian psychologist, but
I'm not saying you are saying there can't be a Christian psychologist.
And you're right.
You're
right. Psychology does determine what behavioral norms are. And so
I'm simply talking about as far as the behavioral norms, though. Why can't the behavioral norms be similar to those that God would consider a normal behavioral norm, even though they don't believe in God, the psychologists? the said psychologist in question. It's your
Does
question.
do some of the things that they do seem normal to you?
Well, that depends on how you define normal. What's your definition of normal? Now you're defining what normal is.
I'm just saying that psychology
based on
shouldn't.
that, I mean,
Psychology shouldn't determine what's normal in psychology in society and be able to compel people to take.
so should you determine what's normal?
No, God
Because
determines.
you're now asking, what do they do normal though? That means you're trying to determine what normal is.
I think you're missing what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they determine societal norms, and then in like 1983, the NHS in UK, the Mental Health Act, it made detainment possible by psychiatrists. So now they can compel you to behave how they determine is normal. So think of this, for example. Do you think that there was a lot of ADHD before we had modern schools the way they are now?
Wait a minute. Now they can? I don't think, from my experience of going through the psychological field, that they compel you to do what they want you to do.
They do.
Because I've never been compelled to act the way they want me to act.
Yeah, well, that example I just used is specifically in the UK. They can lock you up. We used to have mental
Well, that's
asylums.
the UK, though. We live in the US, not the UK.
Well, that's fine.
Respectfully.
The US has done things like this too. We used to have mental asylums.
Currently, though, right? They don't do it currently.
Yeah, we got rid of.
Because you're talking about modern day. You're not talking about.
Yeah, we got rid of the mental asylums, and they're trying to bring them back. But once they started doing this, it made the insanity plea now a thing, so somebody can not be held accountable for their actions. It made commitment a thing where they can detain you. They can compel you. I could call and say, my friend.
Wait a minute.
Hold on, James. I can call and say that my friend is going to hurt themselves, and I can have that person Baker acted. So, but back to what I was saying about ADHD. So think about this. Back in the old days where they had schoolhouses and boys would go work on the farm in the morning. They'd go to school for 2 hours, learn a little math and reading, come home, work on the farm again. There's no ADHD. But then when they redesign the schools, they determine what's normal in society is for a boy to sit at a desk for 8 hours a day. And the schools are catered towards more girl style learning. Now, all of a sudden, these boys are rambunctious. They have too much energy. They start running around and they're too active. So the psychologist says they don't fit into the box that we've made of how boys are supposed to act in school. So we're going to put them on medication. There are cases of parents. You could get your kids taken if you tell the school psychologist, no, I don't want my kid to be on prescription meth. You know, they could take your kid away because they could say you're harming your child.
Yeah, but I wouldn't agree with them being forced to take medication. I don't take medication. I
don't agree with it either.
Stuff to help with my stuff.
Yeah,
I don't take medication, and I do things that obviously I would be more open to do. You know, because like I'm doing YouTube and stuff. I actually do that because I want to do that as a job. So it's like I don't disagree that they shouldn't be forced to take medication.
Okay.
That doesn't mean psychology and things like mental health isn't real. It's just that they actually did something about it in a more natural way because they treated boys like boys instead of treating them differently. But it was still there, though. They were probably still dealing with issues. And ADHD may not have been an issue that was necessarily noticed because they were learning like traits, or I shouldn't say traits, talents that their fathers would do, right? Which is typically what they would fall into back in those days. Mm-hmm. So whatever their father did, they did, which could most likely have been something they were interested in, you know, and everything. Because obviously people pursued things that they were interested in.
So before psychology was called psychology, it was called moral philosophy. And that's when people realized that we can't really know these things. We can talk about these things. We can come up with ideas. We can communicate with each other. But then when they started using science to explain it, instead of calling it what it is, which is moral philosophy. Oh, Hold on one sec. You good? I think he could still hear me. So that when
I can still hear you. You're good.
when they switched it from moral philosophy to psychology and they started trying to make it science based, that's when it all falls apart, because now we're not calling things what they are. We're using words to control people and control society. So in the 1950s, around that time, they realized none of their experiments were really testable, because it was all just based off of opinion and it was all subjective. So they started to use p-values and math to verify their experiments. But the problem with that is you could fudge the numbers on that. So that's what they found out. That's why psychology is currently in a replication crisis. They went back and they tried to replicate 100 experiments from throughout the time of psychology, very popular ones. They could only replicate, I think, 39% or 32%, which brings into question all of it.
But that doesn't mean that mental health doesn't exist, though. How do you explain the behavioral problems with people?
Human suffering. So you're thinking that I'm dismissing human suffering. I'm not. I understand that humans suffer. I understand we have struggles. But as a Christian, you know that we're supposed to get strength from our suffering. Suffering is a human condition. We all suffer. Maybe you suffer with sadness, or maybe you suffer with trauma, all these things. But
how do you explain that people have problems controlling their behaviors, though, and they have problems reading the room, as it were, like in terms of like autism and stuff, which is a bit.
Yeah, but you keep wanting to go to autism, James. Autism
is
still
under. Yeah, but it's still under this realm of mental problems, though. Like it's still under that whole thing with the behavioral issues that come with it and everything. It's still under the lens.
Right, but your behavior is only an issue if they deem it an issue. If they decide this person is socially awkward, they don't act right, so now they label you with something that they made up. Now, autism, I'm not talking about autism, James, because autism is a developmental disorder. It's not a mental illness. There's actually something physically different about somebody who's autistic's brain.
Physically, wait a minute. I thought you couldn't quantify it, though. If it's physically different, then you can quantify it.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying I'm not talking about autism. That's not.
So you think there's a chemical imbalance in the brain if it's physically?
No.
Then what's the physical?
People with autism's brains are physically different. There's something in their brain that is. Now, the autism spectrum, they made it so broad that now they're not even doing brain scans to find autism. They're doing the same thing the psychologists do, which is give you a worksheet to fill out. You fill out the worksheet. You grade a bunch of things on a scale of 1 to 10. How happy are you? How sad are you? Do you get uncomfortable in public places? Questions like this, which are totally subjective. There's no way we can really. And how do you know the person's not lying?
Well, as a person that's been through the system, there's more deeper questions than just how sad you are and things like that. There's a lot more deeper questions.
I know.
They'll ask you questions like, have you struggled with like following directions and things like that and stuff? And
so what is it? Is it yes or no, or is it like sometimes, never?
It's like it's a number you got to choose. I think some like between 1 and 5, but then like. And then but it's not just you though. It's also someone you trust that could give a outside opinion on the issue too, not just you. And then they'll interview you and ask you questions about your life and stuff, and about your upbringing and how you went in school and things like that. And they'll go deep into it. They won't just take and
it's a lot of questions. A lot of subjective questions. I get it.
Yeah, it's a lot of questions, but I don't know if it's really subjective.
It is subjective.
I mean, it's your life, though. You're telling your life. How's that subjective?
People go into psychiatrist's office and walk out with the medication that they want all the time by lying. You just lie.
Well,
they have no way.
I totally agree with you, but it doesn't necessarily mean mental health is not legitimate, though. That still doesn't say that it's not a legitimate issue.
So let me
that's
be
probably
clear.
A mental health issue in itself that someone wants a certain medicine and they're addicted to something like that. That's a mental issue in of itself.
Addiction is a mental illness. So you're on
I
the
would believe
side
there's
of
some sort of a mental issue going on there if you're addicted.
yeah. You know who declared that? Joe Biden in 2000 and somewhere in my notes.
Oh, you got that in your notes too?
Oh yeah, I got the
Wow.
politics. The recent 2017, Joe Biden declares addiction a neurological disease and not a lifestyle choice. James, I've quote unquote struggled with addiction my whole life, and it's BS. God never made an addict. God did not make me an addict. I would never call myself an addict. I don't think people should look at them.
Well, it's a neurological disorder based on a decision that you made to take something.
It's not.
Because it alters your brain. Could you
Okay.
agree with that? That the substance alters your brain to make you addicted to it?
Yeah, and you can get off the substance and your brain will heal itself.
Yeah, you can get off the substance, but you still need help though, right? Getting off the substance.
From God.
That's why they have like addiction centers and stuff to help people get off substances.
Yeah.
Now, granted, when they force people and they need to be reformed.
When they force people into rehabs, the success rate when they get out is so low. A lot of them end up dying because.
Well, I know. I've seen the studies. I've.
So maybe instead of pointing to them to the shrink in the facility, we point them to the cross.
Well, I mean, of course you can and you should point them towards God. Of course, I will totally agree with that. But you can't expect everyone to believe in God, though. Just saying, you can't expect everyone to.
Yeah, and they've been given over to a reprobate mind. So is that mental illness? Let me be clear. Psychology, I'm saying psychology is a fake science. It's a pseudoscience. And I'm saying mental illness and mental health are misnomers. They're not the right names because health and illness, they changed the definition of illness to include mind health, which is totally, there's no way to measure what a healthy mind is. We're all different, James. So instead of saying somebody has a disability or a disorder or a mental illness,
you can't measure what a healthy mind is. So.
Exactly. That's why mental health is BS.
What a healthy mind is. Would you not say that? There are standards.
Well,
granted, from our worldview,
yeah, subjective standards based on who's setting the standards. So if a little boy says he wants to be a little girl, then
that's mental illness right there. That's a mental problem.
That's a mental illness. So what do we do?
You need to help them to get out of that.
That's not what they do. They indulge them in it, and then they're mentally healthy
just
once
they don't do it doesn't mean we don't need the system. We need to reform the system. It's not getting rid of the system. Getting rid of the system is not going to be the solution. It's going to be the reform of the system. You're talking about reform.
Reforming the psychology system. Yeah. So like that guy that I quoted, Thomas Saz, what he writes about in his book is that instead of medication, we just need to learn to talk to people and communicate with people better. And this is where cognitive behavioral therapy leads. But the problem is a lot of these shrinks are college age girls, a lot of college age women, and they sit there and they make you relive your traumas over and over again. I don't think that's healthy. I think that's a bad idea. I think church counseling, spiritual counseling with your brothers in Christ, talking to men who are doing, who you aspire to be like, that is therapy.
But that's providing that if they believe in Christ, though. You've got to think about not everyone who believes in God, though. You can't simply. I'm not saying we shouldn't point them towards God. I mean, I'm not saying that at all. Don't take me wrong. But at the same time, though, we have to understand there are people out there that don't believe in God.
But should we be dancing with the world and talking and thinking like the world thinks?
So that way they can come to know God by getting the same kind of help that you would provide to people that are brothers in Christ.
But I'm saying we shouldn't talk like the world talks. We shouldn't think how the world thinks. We should understand.
Well, I'm not saying psychology should think like we do. But I'm not saying but it's going to come through reform, though. And not necessarily, and they're maybe not going to say it exactly like we do in terms of when they're talking to people that don't believe in God. They're going to say they're not going to use the God part. They're going to probably exit that part out, but they should at least try to sound like us and do like what we should do, and everything.
Yeah. Well, and I
There's
think
going to be reform.
a lot of times they're very close. Like, so Sigmund Freud came up with the id, the ego, and the superego, and he's like one of the founding fathers of psychology in the early 1900s. And he came up with the id, the ego, and the superego. So this is, have you ever seen the devil on one shoulder and the angel on the other shoulder?
Yeah, I've seen that before. They you show that like in movies sometimes too and stuff.
Right. So
Different
the id is the devil, the ego is you, and the superego is the angel. Well, Sigmund Freud was very close to what is actually happening, but Sigmund Freud was godless. He didn't know God. So he tried to use science to explain a spiritual thing, which is basically Satan, God, and you. Who are you going to serve? That's where so his id, ego, and superego is just a worldly version of God and the devil. But if you cut God out of the equation, people do not come to answers. Psychology is not curing any of these mental illness. You cure an illness.
Well, I would agree that there are spiritual things that are happening when it comes to mental illness, but I'd also say that there are also physical things that are happening too, not just necessarily just physical. I mean, spiritual things rather.
Yeah, but I'm arguing if it's physical, it's not mental.
How is that? You've agreed that autism has a physical element to it, correct?
Yes,
and it has
but
a
I keep telling you,
autism, which is a mental issue.
Autism is
And
not
same
a
thing
mental
with Down
illness.
syndrome. It has behavioral
Down syndrome
issues,
is
right?
not a
Down
mental
syndrome.
illness.
But it has behavioral issues, does it not?
Yeah, but it's not a mental illness. It's not psychology that deals with Down syndrome. Down syndrome is
psychology is the studying of the behavioral studies, right? Studying behavior.
Yeah, studying behaviors. Yeah, but you know
So
how.
therefore, it would be a mental illness.
Do you think we're animals, James?
No, I don't think we're animals. I think we're created by God.
Okay, so
In
a
the
lot of
image
these
God.
experiments that they do to study behaviors, they'll do it with animals. They've done it with monkeys, the Harlow experiments, the Harlow's Pit. They've done it with rats, Universe 25, and the Rat Utopia experiments. And then they'll use these. So like with the rat experiment, I think you were there when we were talking about it with Caldy. They have all these rats in this thing, and then they figure out.
I think I was in the chat.
Those experiments led to city designing because they took the behavior of the rats and equated that to the behavior of humans when they're over socialized and over too densely populated. So they designed city building around this rat experiment.
Why does this disprove that psychology should be getting rid?
Because my problem is we're not animals. We have souls. We actually have
of course.
minds.
That means we need to reform psychology. It doesn't mean we need to get rid of psychology.
Okay, so what?
That's probably from way back. How long ago did you say this was? Because I don't know any psychology that does this today.
What, animal experiments?
Yeah, I don't think they do that no more.
Well, this is it's post the 50s.
As far as I know.
It's post the 50s.
When?
Post the 50s.
Oh, that's way back then though.
The
that's
50s
not
is when
modern day though.
Yeah, because they're not.
They
doing
don't do animal
anymore.
experiments no more.
But this is still the basis of the science that you look at, that you follow.
But that's not today though. Like
they still apply today. They're still
that
using.
means it needed reform, and it did get the reform because they don't do animal experiments.
It got
anymore, unless you can prove to me that they do.
The only reform that was done
was
in the 50s when they went from in the 50s when they moved towards an empirical science. So they started using math and numbers to determine the validity of experiments. The p-value 0.5 means 5% failure rate, which is very high, by the way. It's a high p-value. And then they started finding out that you could just fudge the numbers up a little bit. You could alter the numbers and alter the metrics to get the results that you want out of the experiment. They teach kids in psychology classes how to do this in college.
Yeah.
They teach them how to alter the numbers to get the results they want. Because with psychology, it's based off of publication. You need to get peer-reviewed and published in a journal in order to make money. It's profit driven. So 95% of the peer reviewed psychology experiments are all successful. So there's no unsuccessful experiments. No, they don't publish the unsuccessful ones because that won't get peer reviewed and published. They don't even submit them. So they're just submitting stuff that works, and they're messing with the numbers to get the answers they want. And this is how we determine how we're going to treat people's minds. That's crazy.
But it still sounds like you're calling for reform, though, instead of getting rid of the whole system itself.
If we could reform it to rewind the clock 100 years and go back to moral philosophy and just talking things out with people, instead of calling it, the problem is when you call it mental health and mental illness. Now you're talking about physical things. Health and illness.
Well, it is physical, depending on what you're talking about. It causes behavioral issues. Because like autism and Down syndrome and things like that, and bipolar is physical.
Well, if I have a broken leg and I have a cast on my leg, is it a behavioral issue that I have to now use a wheelchair to get through a crowd? Is that a behavioral issue?
It's not a behavioral issue, no, but that's a leg, though. You're talking about.
But I'm behaving differently.
But that's a physical leg, though.
I know, but it's a behavioral issue. So is it also mental if I break my leg and I need a wheelchair? I'm behaving differently. I'm causing problems in society. Now they got to build me a ramp.
You get kind of depressed and stuff, and then you'll get over it at some point once you get used to the fact that you are missing a leg. But and then you still have to do things differently on how you act and stuff. So you have to think differently on how you're gonna react as far as physical wise and move around physically. So I mean, in a way, it could be, but I think that's going a little bit too deep on down the rabbit hole though of mental issues. That doesn't exclude like behavioral issues like you get with like as far as autism and stuff. That's mental issues like autism and bipolar and the fact that people go psychotic when they become self-deleters, where they delete people and stuff. That's different. That's mental health issues that.
It's mental health. So
they're different than the dealing with a missing leg, though. Which I'm not claiming that it's not bad having a missing leg at all. I'm not saying that for anyone that deals with that stuff.
Okay, but James, what if somebody? So you think this is all mental? If somebody is psychotic, Jeffrey Dahmer is a psycho and he's out murdering guys, you know. But what?
That's psycho. It's a mental issue.
So if we could do a brain scan and we could say, well, this is this section of his brain right here, would you say that we should just chop that out and then?
No, I'm saying we need to help the brain.
No, we need to help the spirit. That's not mental illness. That is a spiritual trauma.
Kind of like intertwined. Do you not think so?
No, I think that our minds.
You don't think the brain and the spirit are intertwined?
Yeah, my thoughts are not my own. I put on the helmet of truth or whatever to stop the fiery darts. The deceiver whispers thoughts into our minds. Our thoughts are not our own.
Well, in the case of a psycho person, you don't think that there's a chemical imbalance or something going on in the brain?
No, I think they had spiritual trauma. I think they need God. I think that they've been given over to a reprobate mind, and those are demons. Have you ever heard of Annalise Mikel?
Yeah, but you said yourself though that you could alter the
they can do a lobotomy,
right? Like you could alter the neuroplasticity, right? So that does become physical though if you can alter the neuroplasticity.
Well, neuroplasticity means our brain changes.
You can alter that neuroplasticity, right? So trauma alters that, so therefore it becomes physical.
Yeah, but that's not the root of the problem. The problem led to
the root
the brain.
The problem is the trauma, but nevertheless, there's still some physical element though that is caused by the trauma.
But it's not that the brain was depressed and then the person came depressed. It's because the person is depressed, their brain changes to look like that of a depressed person's brain.
And usually people block things out though when they undergo like a really bad trauma though. So you're gonna have to deal with the neuroplasticity in order to solve their problem though, wouldn't you? I mean, at least in theory. I don't know if that's I'm not sure you can quantify it.
your brain will rebuild itself back up over time. It will go back to normal. That's part of the plasticity.
It
Your
will.
brain will change. Yeah, it's like a
Well,
muscle.
how do you explain people that are severely depressed for a very long time?
I know the brain's not a muscle, but it's like a muscle. It can, rejuvenate itself over time.
Yeah. Supposedly. I don't know. You can't quantify that though.
But how about instead of indulging people and saying, you've been sad for a long time, so now you're clinically depressed, so let's get you on some medication for your depression.
Well, I don't think. Why do you keep coming back to medication though? That
Because
argument,
psychology is downstream of psychiatry.
Well,
and I think
I'm saying it needs to be reformed.
Psychiatry is worse than psychology.
I agree with you on the medication issue that they need to stop prescribing medication like that.
But that's just
herbs
psychology is the first step to that. So it starts with psychology. Then they say, well, the talking to you is not working, so let's send you to the psychiatrist. He'll get you the pills you need. And a lot of people abuse those.
But you're trying to discredit psychology in general, the study of the human behavior in general.
And the mind.
You're trying to say it's wrong.
The mind and the human behavior.
Well, the mind and the human behavior.
So how do we study a mind?
Earlier, or one time, but how do we study the mind? We observe things, of course, and then we have to ask questions. We can't really actually maybe physically quantify it right now. But there's probably a way to quantify it if you could just trust the science. But
trust the science.
Obviously.
Don't trust the geologist, but trust the psychologist. That makes sense.
Well, hey, flat Earth is a whole nother thing, though.
Yeah. Okay,
I'm taking the Bible for what it says.
What does the Bible say that you do when you suffer with anxiety or worry or fear? What does the Bible tell you to do?
It says not to, but the thing is, though, does it mean that it's not real, though?
It says people do deal with it.
Yeah, they deal with it. That's the point. It's real. Now you're just saying that it's real.
It's suffering, but I'm saying it's not an illness. When you're anxious or worried or stressed or fearful, that is not a mental illness. That's human suffering, and we're supposed to rejoice in that and let it make us stronger. It's something necessary. And we go to God, prayer, fasting. It's in the Bible. I have some verses wrote down, but I thought you wanted to go more into the Bible stuff, but
yeah. I mean,
the politics, it's all Democrats. It's all a bunch of godless liberals. Tipper Gore in 1999 and Bill Clinton are the ones who started this stuff with the kids. They what's it called? The the Brain and Behavioral Research Foundation, which focused on they were advocates for early intervention and prevention. So get the kids in there young, stop the mental illness in the children. That's Tipper Gore and Bill Clinton. Then Joe Biden, the NHS in UK is locking people up. These are all godless liberals, James. There's also a lot of socialist and Marxist roots in this. It is crap.
But does that mean psychology is not real, though? Just because...
I think it's worse than not real. I think it's nefarious. I think it's evil. So it's not real, but in that it's evil in that it's a deception. It's the deceiver. It's a trick they're playing on us to control people and divide us up, make people dependent. Go ahead.
Just real quick, I just want to remind everyone in the chat we're at 25 minutes left. I paused the timer here while I did this quick. We're at 25 minutes left. Chat, if you want to get questions in, we'll ask all the super chatted questions at the end of the 25 minutes. Also, if both of you are okay with it, I was going to say I'll allow for people to come up one-on-one if they want to challenge either side.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, I'm cool with
that. Okay, so we'll also open up the panel to see if anyone wants to come and talk about either view they've heard. And we'll do that for, a good, a little bit after, depending how many people come. And then we'll close up and go to an after party. But yeah, you guys still got 25 minutes on the clock. Make sure you guys hit like. Make sure you guys both go to both debaters' channels as well. They're both streaming, so go give them a like, go give them a sub. All right. And yeah, so you guys can go ahead, get back into it, and I'll start up when you guys talk.
Okay. Yeah. So, what do you want to go down, more the Bible road, or do you know anything about how they get these studies peer reviewed in journals?
No, I've heard some stuff about it, but I haven't really done a lot of deep diving in how they get the peer reviews in the journals.
Well, so now that they're in the replication crisis and they're going back and looking at some of these peer reviewed experiments, there was a guy named Daryl Bim that proved that ESP was a thing, extrasensory perception. He proved ESP is a thing with psychology. It's not, but he proved it. There was a guy that got a peer-reviewed study in a journal about how a bunch of people could listen to a certain song from the Beatles and they would lose a year off of their life. Yeah. Yeah, you make that face because it's nonsense. But he was
if they can prove that, then they are psychotic and they need help.
Well, he was doing it to prove a point. He was doing it to show that if you work the numbers right in your experiment, you could get anything peer reviewed and published.
He went back to numbers, though. That's not how they should be studying things, though.
Right. Well, that's how they've been doing it since a little after the 50s, because they had to move to an empirical scale, so they had to use math. And
okay,
numbers.
then that means we're talking about reform, though.
Okay, how do you want to reform it? I say we go back to before there was psychology. We call it moral philosophy. The first mental asylum was in 900 AD in Cairo and Beirut. It was a Muslim.
I think we need to get mental asylums back. I would totally agree with that.
But they didn't call it a mental asylum. The Muslims called it, the patients were called the afflicted of Allah.
Yeah, I've heard that. Yeah, I think you've talked about it before.
Yeah,
leading up to this debate.
I think that sounds like a better idea. These are people have afflictions, people suffer. I understand people get sad, people get anxious, people get worried, and
they need help working through it.
Yeah.
I mean, we need to have mental asylums.
But psychology.
Psychology still, it doesn't mean mental health doesn't exist, though. It doesn't mean like things like autism and bipolar and things.
So what do you call a healthy mind? What does a healthy mind look like? How do you know if somebody's mind is healthy?
Well, if it's healthy, it's living according to what God says. It's by God's standard.
So they have perfect peace. That would be a healthy mind.
Yeah, if they are wholeheartedly into God and they're doing the best that they can, they should have relatively perfect peace. Because there are going to be ups and downs, obviously, in life, because we go through struggles and trials. But we should come back to the peace that God gives at the end of the day.
I agree. But does psychology give people that peace without God? Is there a way to get that peace through psychology?
That means there should be some reform, though. That's still calling for like a reform, though.
Okay, well, if you want to reform it, that's fine. But we're talking about current psychology. So you don't agree with current psychology? You think they need to change it?
But psychology in itself needs to stay, though. You're saying psychology in itself needs to go away, though, and that it's all just pseudoscience.
Yeah, I don't think we should be trying to figure out the science of how people think. Instead, we should just deal with people on an individual basis and realize that everybody's different, and we can't just make boxes. They made
you can't actually make a box, though, because you could argue that God made a box, though. Like by giving the law, the instructions that he gave. That's a box. Do you not think that God wants us to live by those rules? And that's a box.
Well, I'm fine in getting put in a God box, but I don't want to be put in a shrink box.
Yeah, but I mean, some of the things that they would consider normal, though, you could honestly say God would align with that, though. I mean, granted, not everything, because obviously they're going too far with the whole allowing people to be whatever gender they want to be, and they're getting too woke and stuff. You know, that again is calling for reform, though, not necessarily, you know, getting rid of it completely and saying that psychology is a bunch of pseudoscience and everything. That's not
Okay.
getting rid of it completely. It's again reform.
All right. So if the
And
reform is get rid of
you have
psychology and people go to church and do spiritual counseling with the people in their church, and stop calling it mental health and mental illness and start calling it just individual people who are different and treat them individually. If you want to reform it that way, then that's fine. But I think that means I win the debate because
yeah, but wait a minute though. You can't say that everybody though is yeah. But what about autism and bipolar and stuff? I think that stuff still exists though, and it's physical, and it's not just mental.
yeah, autism is physical. Yeah,
But it still causes behavioral issues though.
I know. We've already
Which
been.
is
We're going in circles.
also
A broken leg causes behavioral issues, but that's not mental. Just because someone behaves differently doesn't mean that they have a mental illness.
okay. But what is your definition of mental illness? So I'm not misunderstanding what your definition of mental illness is.
I think I defined it in my opening. Let me find it real quick.
Because maybe that's what's causing circular arguments.
Mental illness is health conditions involving changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior. So how do you determine that I'm emotionally thinking unhealthily? What is a healthy emotion and healthy thinking? How do we determine this? Who determines this?
Well, healthy would be like not having sudden, really strong swings one way or the other, as far as extremes and everything. And you're mainly stable. You're not going completely out of your mind and doing like erratic things that are wrong. From my worldview, obviously according to God, but like from psychologists' worldview, it may be whatever they may determine, and then those things can coincide with things that God would consider normal, you know, and everything. It doesn't necessarily have to be always against God. Granted, with again how they're going woke and stuff, I will grant you that that's against God, what they're doing there and everything.
I don't know, man. Changes in emotion, thinking, or behavior. My emotions, my thinking, and my behavior could change every day. So what that means, I have a mental illness? I don't think we should be thinking about it this way or using these words. That's the problem. Your mind is illness.
Yeah, but how do you explain people that have trouble regulating their emotions?
Normal. Yeah.
So it's normal to have problems regulating one's emotions?
It's normal that
Like-
people are different. Some people are going to have
Like as
problems.
extreme as
Yeah.
Yeah, but it gets very extreme though. What about the very extreme cases of people that have problems regulating their emotions, which comes with the autism and the bipolar and everything?
Okay,
Like
but
that.
why are these numbers of autism going up then? Like we've gone from 1 in 1,000 to 1 in 32 people now have autism. So if this is something, whether it be the food or whether it be the Vaselines or whether it be the media that we consume or the things we watch, this is the world working on us and changing our behaviors. It's not, the world is changing our minds, and that's not an illness. Like it's just not an illness.
Well, it could be with the way the world has changed. You got to consider we're not the same as it was before. We have social media and all this stuff, and maybe with the way the world is shifting, we're going through a shift right now that brings these things out more.
So there's more mental illness now, but there's also more psychology.
There's more ways for people to connect with people, and as people, you know, deal with like different social how do I put it? Like they're trying to deal with like so many people at once. it causes it to be more noticeable now, because like they didn't have to deal with nearly as many people in the past, because only people they would deal with were the people in their local town. Now they've got access to like thousands and millions of people now through the internet and everything.
Yeah.
So
So
now
you
it's
see,
more noticeable.
so you
Their
see
social
more
issues and
eyeballs.
everything.
You see more eyeballs in the crowd. You see more people that are stand out a little more. I'm saying, why are those people who are different mentally ill?
Because of the behavioral issue of how their behavior changes and they have problems with regulating it sometimes
Doesn't that
more
give
than
a
other
cop
people.
out to like not be accountable for your actions? You could just blame it on mental illness. Like,
Eh,
I'm an addict. God made me this way. I can't help it that I.
no, it's not really a cop out, because you can work with dealing with it and actually manage it. It's not really a cop out. You can manage it by taking herbs and vitamins and whatever, because I think it comes down to a deficiency in vitamins and stuff, which causes the chemical imbalance in the brain. Granted, I'm not a psychologist though, and I'm not a person that studied that,
Yeah,
because I've
it's not
noticed
chemical
how.
imbalances. That's been debunked. But
Well, maybe it's just vitamin deficiencies. Purely that.
well,
That
then take some
causes.
vitamins. What do you need psychology for? Just go freaking get some echinacea. What do I need a therapist for?
Yeah, but it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist, though. That it could be
I'm
a problem.
and
Though.
also I'm okay with therapy. Like I said, spiritual, spiritual therapy, spiritual counseling, church counseling.
Again, I'm not a psychologist, though. Just saying.
Well, neither am I. And I would never tell anybody oh, you shouldn't be taking your medication or something like that. That would be crazy. And, I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying I would rather people, these are spiritual ailments, not spiritual illnesses, spiritual ailments, spiritual traumas.
I would disagree, though. Because even if it's food, let's say it's food, if I'm correct, and it's a vitamin deficiency, it would still be a physical problem, though.
I don't know
It's
where
a
you're
vitamin
getting that from.
deficiency.
I
Even
don't
if it's
know.
not a chemical imbalance, it could be a vitamin deficiency.
I've never heard that mental illness comes from vitamin deficiency, so I have to look into this. But
Well, it could. I mean, it's possible, because they've had problems with farming and stuff, and they're having problems with keeping nutrition and food. You do know that, right?
that that the
Food's
food
not nearly
is,
as nutritional as it used to be.
yeah, well,
Because of
and
how.
they're putting a lot of garbage in the food. But so then that's not, so people aren't mentally ill, people are physically ill from eating garbage.
But that causes mental issues with the physical issue. I was never arguing, though, that.
I'm fine with saying mental issues. I'm fine.
I was always arguing that it's a physical issue. I was that could cause mental problems. I was never saying that it was purely just. And I was never saying it's purely just physical. I was also saying that it could be spiritual too, because I believe there's a spiritual element.
I
because
think
I
all
know
spiritual.
I know from the Bible that you could have like intrusive thoughts,
Mm-hmm.
So that's a spiritual element, but there could also be a physical element, though.
Yeah, there's a girl named
The way
Annalise.
humans have caused a nutrition deficiency or a chemical imbalance or something. I'm not sure how to, for sure, how to explain that, because they've never been able to obviously fully understand how the physical element works.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They don't understand it, and they never
But
will.
that doesn't mean that psychology and that mental health issues are not real, though. That's going to extreme. That's going extremely extreme.
Yes,
to say that they're not real.
Yeah, again, I understand
just because they
that
have not been
people
able to fully 100% prove something. I mean, they haven't fully been able to 100% prove that there's a God, but me and you would believe there's a God, right?
I wouldn't expect science to show me God, just like I wouldn't expect science to show me what a healthy emotion looks like.
Right, to prove mental health issues, though. So your logic would have to follow that you'd have to expect science to prove God, though.
No, how is that my logic? My logic is saying science cannot prove the metaphysical. Science can't observe our thoughts.
Well, your logic requires
Just like science
that they
can't
prove
show you
something,
God,
though.
science can't show you my mind.
But your logic, we expect them to quantify it, though. You
I
said
don't
that they can't
expect science
quantify
to
it. That was one of
quantify
your
God.
argument points, that they can't quantify it.
If they made a
Mental health.
science up where they started trying to scientifically explain God, I wouldn't believe it either. I would call that fake.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? How does that work? That
Because
doesn't make any sense.
because science tests the physical world, the observable, testable, and demonstrable physical world, not metaphysical, not thoughts, spirits, God.
So yeah, but wouldn't it also been kind of like a pseudoscience when they were testing out about gravity and things like that in science, all these physical things? Because they couldn't see it, they didn't know it was there, they couldn't really quantify it quite yet.
Gravity
but yet
is
they were still dealing with it though.
Yeah, gravity. I might give you that one. You might be right about
and
that.
how do you quantify air though? How do you quantify the elements?
Molecule.
I mean,
I don't know. You count the
but I mean,
molecules?
originally, back when they were originally
No, I could
studying
give
it,
you
though,
that-
they didn't have the technology to quantify it yet. So, do you think people should have believed it back then?
Huh? James, come on, flat earther James. I'll give you.
I mean, everything in science was a pseudoscience.
I can give you that we don't fully understand gravity.
Eventually quantified it.
We know gravity exists. Maybe we don't
Is
fully
my
understand
point.
how it
Everything
works.
was a pseudoscience at one time.
No.
Everything was a pseudoscience, and they eventually quantified it. It doesn't mean that mental health can't be quantified one day, though.
Well, it's not currently. So currently.
Not currently, but it can be, though.
All right. So currently, it's not real. It's a fake science.
Well, no, currently
it's
it
profit driven,
but it doesn't mean that it's not real because you can notice mental behavioral
They're
issues.
incentivized to lie to get their work published. They're incentivized to keep patients going through the system. They don't heal anything. They're not
Again,
curing.
that's reform, though. That's calling for reform, not getting rid of. It sounds like.
Reform it because it's nonsense. Okay, I agree. Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't get rid of you said you was okay with mental asylums, right? Or like the places for the inflicted. That's psychology, right?
I would just say have a wing of the jail.
They gotta know if someone's inflicted or not. They gotta ask questions and figure these things out, right?
Well, the way you figure it out is
it's obvious because of them.
The way you figure it out is they commit a crime. So then you lock them up.
Well, yeah, but not necessarily always, though. What happens to the people that have not ever committed a crime, though?
Then we probably shouldn't be putting them in
wrong behaviors that aren't necessarily a crime, though. They're not necessarily considered a crime according to the law, though.
Like
what happens about them people?
What kind of wrong behavior?
Like they not get locked up and get help?
What kind of wrong behavior that's not breaking the law do we need to lock people up for? They have a tic, they have Tourette's syndrome, and they yell out, "Shit, fuck, bitch!" randomly. Like, we need to put these people in an asylum because that's not socially acceptable.
Well, what if they act wrongly, though, in a social situation, and no one necessarily, and people in society thinks that they acted wrong, but it's not necessarily, something they could bring to the law about and stuff, because you can't just get someone arrested for acting wrong in a formal social situation, right? But yet they do ostracize people for these wrong actions, right?
Yeah, so society will usually push them out, or push them towards the edge of the city, and you'll have your crazy recluses that, they're sitting, hang out in their little hut somewhere.
But shouldn't they get help though? And shouldn't there be?
Maybe they don't want help. Maybe they don't need help. Maybe they're
that doesn't really mean that they shouldn't get help though, just because they may not want help. I mean, the people that self-delete people don't want help either, but do they not need to go somewhere?
They wouldn't be considered
based
mentally.
On that logic.
They wouldn't be considered mentally ill unless somebody told them they were mentally ill. So once we start redefining words and we start saying diagnosis didn't used to be used for any mental ailments, because you can't diagnose something you can't really experiment with and look at and observe.
Oh, so they couldn't die. So you're saying that they couldn't diagnose that someone had some sort of illness before they could actually quantify that someone had cancer, based on that logic.
Yeah, and then we eventually figured out how to see the cancer and look at the cancer and watch
Well,
what
you
the
could tell
cancer
someone
does.
had cancer problems though. They were acting differently
Yeah.
before they could quantify it.
Okay. I don't know
So
what you're
you're
trying to
saying
say.
that they couldn't know that they were sick without quantifying that they had cancer?
Yeah, because it's physical. We can look at it. You look like you're dying, bro. You look like you're dying. Now, saying you look like you're
Well, it's
crazy
still
because you're
not
doing something
quantified though.
that's not normal.
It's only subjective. You look like you're dying, but that's subjective if you're looking like it.
All right, well then physical sciences aren't real either. You're not defeating my
That's
point, James. You're just
subjective, right? I mean, because you could look like you're dying if you worked out a whole lot, right? I mean,
what?
I mean, if someone walks up to you, you could look like you're dying though.
You know how many different types of depression there are? It started out with just depression. Now there's sad depression. There's seasonal affective disorder depression. There's there's a bunch of them now. There's treatment resistant depression, and they have a treatment for it, by the way. They like to run ads on YouTube. Get the new treatment for treatment resistant depression. This is just a freaking money maker. It's just a money machine.
But how do you also explain people like the OnlyFans chicks? Do you think they're not mentally?
No, I think she has demons.
Excuse me, the OF
I'm
chicks,
glad
my
you brought
bad.
that up because I was even thinking.
Do you
about
not
bringing
think
that up.
that they got some mental problems?
I'm glad you brought that up, James.
Like, come on, they got some mental problems. Do you not think? Like,
No, I
doing
think
all that
no, I
stuff?
think she's possessed by demons.
So you don't think they have trauma that caused them to do all that,
I keep trying to bring up Annalise
or some
McKell.
sort of issue that
She
did
was
that?
possessed, James, and she was going to psychology. They were giving him different medicines. They tried this medicine, it doesn't work. They tried this medicine, it doesn't work. And she wasn't getting better. She couldn't go near a crucifix. This is a true story. You can listen to the audio recordings of her exorcist when she's speaking in different languages and she's saying the demon of Cain and the demon of Baal are inside of her. If you heard that tape, I bet you would not tell me she had mental illness, but that's what psychology said. She was possessed. And I think that's what all of our weaknesses, all of our struggles, these are all demons, lesser and greater demons, you know. Even the demon that makes you tell a lie, even a white liar, the demon that and these are the spirits that we're battling with that we have to overcome. Some people don't realize that there's a way out. Demon.
You can't
sorry,
think everything's just spiritual though. There has to be some sort of physical element to these things too. I'm not saying there isn't a spiritual element. I'm not discounting that at all because I know there's a spiritual element.
But I'm saying that's the root.
But I can't say it's fully that though, and that psychology is false. I can't just get rid of all psychology and just throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, you haven't shown me how to reform and make psychology more scientific.
Well, you get mental asylums back for one, and then you also stop looking.
So now we can lock people up when they don't
numbers
abide by
and crunching the numbers, and you try to actually look at what they're dealing with as far as behavioral issues and try to actually solve those by giving them herbs instead of pharmaceuticals and give them things that God wanted them to have, the herbs, because God made the herbs for a reason. That was the whole purpose of the herbs, to help people.
Did God make padded rooms for a reason? We're locking people up because they don't act normal.
Well, that's more like how man's going to have to control the
I'm fine
issue
with
and
locking
keep them
people up if they
locked
commit a
up.
crime, but I'm not
Because,
fine with.
I mean, we have to start with that until we can get them help with their actual mental stuff that's going on in their head. That's kind of like the start. That's not the finish line. That's the starting line. And then let's see, what else could we do?
Well, you got about 45 seconds left, and then we're going to
Drop your last bomb, James. I don't think you've debunked anything I've said.
But,
You've done good though. This is your first debate. You've done good.
I think you both like I mean, I don't want to waste the rest of you guys' time here, but both did really good.
I think you're right. The system needs a reform. Let's tear it down and totally start over again, and let's focus it on God and the Bible and point people to Christ instead of pointing them to the therapists and the medications.
But I still, like I said, I don't agree that psychology in of itself, studying the human mind, is wrong, or the human behavior thing is wrong. I just think we need to reform it. That's what I want to say and clarify and everything.
Okay.
You know.
All right. Well,
I still
listen.
think mental health is real. Yeah.
That was an hour of open statements. We only got a few questions here. Or actually only a couple questions from super chats and a Cash App. We also got God is a noun and not a verb. All right, thanks, Plastic African. And then John wrote, question, what type of psychology are we talking about? Clinical, cognitive, behaviorism, or all?
I'm talking
Well,
about
it seems to be
all of it. Cognitive behavioral therapy, psychoanalysis, everything since I think like the 1890s when they really started going into science with it instead of moral philosophy. That's what I was talking
Do you
about.
want to answer that too, James?
well, I would just want to say that I was
You were talking about it all too?
I would say I was basically focusing on the everything really, that the whole system
Yeah.
needs to be reformed, really.
Okay. And then we had a question from Caldy. PTSD, illness or made up?
I think it's an actual mental illness because people had shell shock back during World War One, and that's what was later on known as PTSD. So I think it's an actual mental illness that people get from trauma. It's a trauma related mental illness, and everything.
Caldy's asking me this because he wants me to walk into a landmine. Caldy, the problem is the D. I don't like the D. I'm anti-D.
Disorder. Oh, the disorder.
I understand post-traumatic stress is a thing. After a trauma, you may be stressed out due to that trauma. You may be afraid. You may be worried, but you do not have a disorder. You're dealing with human suffering, which is natural. I got to echo.
Oh, I don't hear an echo.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe on your end. Yeah, it's on your end, I think, Speak, because I don't hear the echo now.
Check. Yeah, there's no echo now. But yeah, so trauma is real. Post-trauma stress is real, but it's not a disorder. It's something that all humans have to deal with traumas, and all humans have to deal with stress, and it's something that you can overcome. You can have perfect peace through God and pills and
ask veterans that they have perfect peace after that. Even the veterans that
all of them
believe in God, even the ones that believe in God, still deal with struggles and
but I don't think they have a disorder. I'm saying they're having a natural reaction to a trauma. It's not a disorder. You're not mentally ill. You're not mentally sick. You're dealing with a trauma.
They deal with it long term though. Like it's not a long term issue. You can just get over it one day and it's
when did I say that?
Dory and move on.
That's not a very good steel man, James.
Yeah, it's just that you can get over it. Like
you can overcome anything.
Get over it one day. I'm not saying like literally in one day, but like one day after a while, you can just get over it. You don't deal with it for the rest of your life.
Yes, you can overcome the stress from your past traumas. Yes. It's not something you have to be.
Can you quantify that?
No, because it's metaphysical. No, because it's a spiritual thing, James. That's the point I've been making the whole time.
Well, then how can you prove it without quantifying it? Like,
I'm not trying to prove it with science. What you're not getting to me. You're not getting me, James.
All right. Well, look, I want to say we got some people that want to come up, and I'm going to bring them up one at a time so they can address whoever about whatever.
Are we doing like closing statements?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I was actually that's weird that it's like you're reading my mind. I was gonna say, why don't we do your closing statements right before we start bringing them up? And I want to say too, before you get into your closing statements, you both impressed me tonight. This was actually like way, like I anticipated it to be good, but like this was way better than I anticipated. So good job to both of you. So yeah, but if you want to get into your closing statements, JS, you went first on the opener, so you'll go first on the closing, and then James has, or the opposite, sorry, James will go first, and then you'll have the last word on the closer.
All right.
So James, if you want to give like a little closer.
well, I think my opponent basically was arguing that we should reform the system, but not necessarily get rid of this system. It seemed like, because it seemed like he just I don't understand how he could think that we should get rid of all psychology. If he could agree that we need the insane asylums back and stuff, man, like and everything, I don't know. Okay, that's it.
All right, short and sweet. We'll go over to you, JS.
All right, so I don't think James really debunked much of my points. He pretty much just kind of conceded when he said, yeah, the system is flawed, and so we got to tear down the whole thing and rebuild it differently. But this all started because he came on my stream and he said something about having autism and ADHD, and I said, that's not real, James. And I just wanted to know that I was just shit testing him. That's what I do to everybody who comes on my stream. If they tell me that they wear glasses, I tell them, you don't need glasses. That's not real. If they tell me, I've never broken a bone. So if they tell me they broke a bone, nobody breaks bones. That's not even real. So that
autism's real.
Now I have dislocated a toe. So if you dislocate your toe, that's definitely real. But psychology is not real. If you disagree, and if this conversation, gave you any trauma or any depression or anxiety, you can call BetterHelp, or you can check out BetterHelp. Last little closing point. If you Google, I was going to pull this up, but if anybody wants to see, I can show you later or send you something. But if you Google, when did the National Institute of Mental Health, when was it founded? Google's going to tell you April 15th, 1949. That's not the real date that the National Institute of Mental Health was founded. If you go to the National Institute of Health website and then you go to the National Institute of Mental Health section, it gives you a timeline. 1949, the National Institute of Mental Health was founded on April 1st. The greatest April Fool's Day joke in all of history.
That's it. Boom.
Oh boy! You gonna tell me call?
Well, listen, that is the conclusion of the debate part, guys. Okay, and we're gonna start bringing up callers here one by one. If you want to get on, hit the link, and we'll get you on. We'll do this for the next like 30 minutes or so, and then we'll go over to the after party. But first caller, we have Chris Lestrange.
What's up, gentlemen?
What up?
What's up?
What's up? Very well done with the debate. I'm proud of you, boys.
Thank you.
Yeah. So now I'm here to smash you both. JS, firstly, I want to find something out from you, bro. So can we study behaviors of animals, migratory patterns, things like hibernation, how they mate, mating calls, all of these things? I mean, we can observe this, right?
Yeah.
All right. So then Coldy actually brought it up before me with regards to PTSD. can you experience a disorder that is lingering? You say to James, you can get over it, but you can get over a lot of diseases, dude. That the getting over something has nothing to do with whether it's a disease or not. So can you, even let's say not even as there's no bomb shock, there's no nothing, your child experience horrible things, that mental condition then attributes to night terrors, which you know is a real thing. You can vomit, you can start sweating, baggy eyes, hair falling out. All of these symptoms that are very physical can come from a mental illness, dude.
A spiritual illness. Yeah, I agree.
No. We're not talking metaphysics right now. How can you quantify
Yeah, you
a
are. You're
spiritual
talking
illness?
you're talking about somebody's mind.
Yeah, and with
That's
physical.
metaphysical.
Oh, but there's very physical symptoms, JS.
I know, but the symptoms, the root is the spirit. The mind.
It's
the
a
mind
spirit.
is just
So
a
why?
symptom. It's a symptom.
Why is there very effective medication for PTSD, namely psychedelic mushrooms and MDMA, that overwhelmingly prove very good results with veterans?
Yeah, psychedelic
If it's
mushrooms
just
are
a spiritual illness, why can medicine improve upon this?
psychological mushrooms are a great cure for any sort of depression. Take some mushrooms. Take some ketamine.
So you're conceding to my point then?
No, I'm saying that it's a spiritual trauma and that human suffering is natural and we should gain strength through our suffering and we can overcome these things through God and not through a fake science of the mind or some pills.
Well, you just conceded that you can, through medicine, overcome these things.
No, you can.
So which one is it?
You can bandage something. Yeah, I could take a sleeping pill and put myself to sleep and not deal with my depression anymore. Like while I'm asleep, I could. Yeah, I could.
But does that cure it?
No, and do the mushrooms?
It doesn't. Right?
Do the mushrooms cure the PTSD?
Well, overwhelmingly, documents, data, research, real science shows yes, it does, JS, because we can study behaviors. You conceded to that.
We can study behaviors in animals. We have no idea what they do other than survival and instinct. We have no way to analyze an animal's thoughts or consciousness to see why they do what they do. Other than surviving.
But you can physically see if somebody's got a mental illness. You can see if somebody's crazy. Earlier in the debate, you even conceded that gender dysphoria is a mental illness.
Well, yeah, they labeled it a mental illness.
Well, you said it's a mental illness. So the thing is, though, we can physically see the results.
I've been doing a lot of quotations. I'm using the words that they use to explain this. I think gender dysphoria is a spiritual trauma.
Yeah, but like I said again, so if you say it's a spiritual thing, why does medication take it away? And again,
a lobotomy will take it away too.
Yeah, that's not really a medical treatment, right? That's an operation.
It was a medical treatment.
Well, that's not medicine. That's a fucking operation right there.
I mean, a medicine is a chemical compound that affects your brain in a certain way.
Okay. Well, I won't be too hard on you, JF. Let me smash James quickly.
All right.
James.
Yeah.
James. So with regards to psychology, right? Like JS hit on it a little bit. If can things exist in the sense of coming from an outside source that influences a person that is not technically a disease?
I think from a biblical point of view, that spiritually that you can have, intrusive thoughts. So yeah.
Yeah, like the logisme in Orthodoxy, right?
I would guess so. I've not studied enough Orthodoxy yet to be sure on that.
Yeah. So, but with regard to that, then, right? So, if we're going to go into the religious realm, like I kind of said to JS, if we can't actually pinpoint to something, right? So we can't say this is the thing that's making you ill. how can we then say that it is a thing? If we can't point to the thing, how do we say there is something if we can't even show it?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of things you can't quantify, but people do believe in them. Things like God, for example. I mean, you can't really quantify God. I mean, I keep going back
Yeah,
to
but
God, but that's like angels and stuff. You can't really quantify it, but you can believe in it. It doesn't necessarily mean for sure you know. That's the whole idea of faith and everything. It's like believing in things unseen, and things like that.
yeah, no, for sure. But think about this, right? How do we know somebody's just not a fucking asshole? And we're like, this guy's crazy. This guy must be mentally ill, but he's just a dickhead and he likes punching people in the face because he's a terrible person. How would we delineate a disease just to a person being like JS took it kind of into the spiritual realm, but let's take it a bit away from that and just saying they have a tendency to be a horrible fucking human.
Well, I mean, you should be able to quantify it if it's physical. I mean, there has to be some way to quantify it. If it's
I mean,
physical, because I think there's a little bit of both, like the spiritual and the physical. I don't think there's could be separation of the two. I think they can coincide and still.
so, but that's kind of what JA said, ticks and things can be programmed out. People can be programmed so they can have their whole minds MK Ultra. So how then would we say that this specific thing is a disease and not just a personality trait of the person or a lack of temperance with these intrusive thoughts or the logisme or however you want to play it out, right? That they just don't have the necessary temperance to control these thoughts or not be a shithead, but that it's not actually a disease, but just a flawed personality trait.
Well, would it be a flawed personality trait if something physical is going on, like not enough vitamins or something, which could cause mental issues or even a chemical imbalance in the brain? I don't know which one it would be for the autism and things like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, but with that, we can actually see something. So we can say, okay, well, you have a vitamin deficiency, correct? So this is causing A and B to happen. We can say, wow, fuck, man, I'm hallucinating and all this shit's happening. And somebody's like, yeah, dude, you've been in the desert for 3 days. You have no fucking water in your body. That can cause severe hallucinations, all these things, but it's because of a lack of being hydrated. So there's a physical cause showing why why the person is unhealthy. But what if there's nothing to point at? How do we then call that a disease?
Nothing at all. That's a difficult one to say. That you have to study it out, though. Be my thing. Just study it out and see what you can find and everything. I don't know how you call it a disease if you don't have nothing. But is there anything you're trying to point at, though?
No. I appreciate you both. I just had to come in here. I felt responsible as the VK winner to just come kick you guys in the nuts a little bit because I love you.
That's okay. That is
all
fair.
right.
Everyone sub up to the VK champ, all right?
Shot, man. Thank you guys. You did well.
Yeah,
I
he's starting
was
to
going to give
everybody.
everyone like a 10-minute limit, and
yeah,
was literally counting down at 5 seconds when you said that. So that was
nice. God, thank you, Easy. Thank you guys for letting me come up.
Calling, bro.
Oh, yes, sir. Thank you for calling.
And come up on the after party.
All right,
everybody go sub up to Chris. He's starting the channel. So yeah, definitely.
Facts. All right, next we got Teriak.
Yo.
Oh boy.
So
here we go.
Oh, you're super low. Let me turn you up. Hold up. Try now.
Doesn't be turned up here, laddie.
Try now.
Test 1 2. Test 1 2.
Look, can you turn yourself up on your end? Because I got you turned up on.
My ting went down. If you know what I mean. Yeah, 1 sec. What do I know?
Oh, there you go.
That's better. Yeah.
There you go.
There we go, boys. There we go. So yeah, very impressed with James. Like I think he's coming a long way. You know what I'm saying, when he first joined the VK session. So appreciate you, James, doing off the skills. Again, JS, impressed with your combat skills here, but I have to drill down a couple of definitions. What is your definition for disorder?
Off the top of my head, a disorder. Not functioning properly. Something not functioning properly. What's the
like you'd say it's like abnormal human behavior, right? So then, like, what would be your definition of demons?
I don't know
like
if I would consider abnormal. Is that the definition? Is that the
yeah
abnormal human behavior is a disorder?
So like the official thing would be,
if I pick my nose, if I pick my nose and I eat my boogers, I have a disorder.
Yeah, so it denotes the condition that disrupts normal physiological, psychological, or behavioral processes. So that's what disorder is.
Yeah, it's a circular. So it's a circular definition because psychology. They put psychology in the definition. That's not circular. But psychology refers to mind and behavior. So a disorder refers to psychological behaviors, and psychological behaviors refer to behaviors, and you just keep going in a circle.
Yeah, no. Like in terms of circle definitions, when you use the word that you're actually defining it. But to move it on from there, because again, I know I'm impressed with time. When you say that person has demons in them, what do you mean by that?
They're possessed. They have evil spirits in them.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
I can't give you a scientific explanation because it's not scientific. It's metaphysical. So demons are fallen angels, spirits that move through people and affect us negatively.
Yeah, so it'd be negative human behavior.
Demons are negative human behavior.
Yeah.
Or spirits or.
So if you're to say that person's he's possessed by a demon, you denote that like he's speaking crazy, speaking in tongues, doing something that's not normal human behavior, correct?
Sure, yeah.
So you understand the parallel that I've drawn here between disorder and demons. Like when psychologists are saying disorder, it's pretty much the same thing as when you're saying demons, yeah?
Yeah, I'm fine with saying that a demon-possessed person has a disorder. I'm okay with that.
Yeah, so like basically the reason why I'm saying
they don't
this
have
is
a
that,
disease. They don't have an illness.
Yeah, like we can get that in a sec. But what I'm saying is that like because
and it's not mental.
There's kind of like there's two aspects to it where it's like James I think could have done a better job in terms of kind of like solidifying the case with a couple of examples. But you do bring up an interesting point with like the whole kind of gender dysphoria and all that kind of shit now, where I think they've gone too far. Where it's like, you know, it's not only can you not step into the same river twice, it's you can't even step into the same river once because your atoms in your foot are changing and all that kind of shit. Do you know what I mean? They've basically kind of gone too far in terms of that. We've all seen that, the political spectrum, all that kind of stuff. But when you kind of make the claim that like all of psychology, you're throwing the kind of baby out with the bathwater and say all the psychology is just it's a fugazi, it's a myth and all that stuff, you kind of put us in a bit of a dangerous situation, because then it's like, for example, like schizophrenics. Like are you saying that schizophrenics, that's just a myth?
I haven't done enough research into schizophrenia. I don't know if that is actually a physical defect in their brain. But like from meeting and talking with schizophrenic people, I think like my friend, he was over here last night. He's very schizophrenic, and he says psychology is not real. He agrees with me completely. He knows that it's because of the way his mother raised him and the stuff that he went through as a kid, traumas throughout his life, that his mind is gone. But it's not a mental illness. It's due to spiritual traumas throughout his life. That's the root. The mental problems are a symptom. The root of the problem is trauma throughout his life and spiritual things. And I think that's the case with everybody.
The main thing with like schizophrenia is that it's like we can like, you put it into kind of like baskets, or you put it into kind of like the like these kind of like groups, so it's kind of easy to kind of separate between the two. Because again, in terms of like there's people that have, let's say, childhood trauma, and that can be cause or kind of stir into the whole schizophrenia, but it can also be genetic. There can also be biochemistry, like imbalances in the neurotransmitters with like dopamine and glutamine. It can also be your brain development as well, which you can track like in terms of like the prefrontal cortex, the limbic system, things like that as well. But like when we're talking about like schizophrenia, like in its kind of totality, we're talking about like hallucinations, like full blown like delusions, like thought disorders, like they can't have like a straightforward conversation. Like they're basically like they'll be talking about, let's say, schizophrenia, then they're jumping on to talking about the carnival and the circus and all this kind of stuff. It's like, what the fuck? Like I thought we were talking about schizophrenia or whatever. So it's like there's a lot of these kind of things that it's like when we kind of say it's like, oh, it's all fugazi, we all throw it out. Then all of a sudden, then like we have no kind of outlet to deal with these conditions that are already kind of like well tracked in terms like that as well. And like when we're talking about like treatments, like there is medication like antipsychotics that they can take that do help with the condition, but an interesting thing that James brought up as well is like there's kind of like nutritional deficiencies and all that kind of stuff that this can kind of be caused by too. But once you kind of like eliminate all these kind of like dietary stuff and they're still kind of having these symptoms, then you need to kind of have that extra layer of medication so they can kind of like deal with the day. Because if you're getting rid of the asylums and then you're getting rid of the medication, you're getting rid of the whole profession, then like my main question to you would be then like, what do you do with the schizophrenics that are unmedicated?
So we couldn't just like abolish psychiatry and psychology. We would have to sunset it. Like that would be horrible if we took all the schizophrenic people off their medication at the same time. That would be a horrible idea. That would not be good, because the medications, all they do is just suppress certain parts of their brain. Like that guy, for example, and it's not anecdotal because I've seen this a lot, and a lot of times they're just basically shutting off a chunk of your brain, and these people walk around like zombies. If you take the meds away, then they end up pew in a school. Like that would not be good. So we would have to. There's always going to be human suffering, and so there's no way to get rid of it. But the answer is not through science and psychology, is what I'm saying. The answer is spiritual, and that's how.
Yeah, but if it.
But it could just be that get rid of it all. That would be a bad idea.
But what it sounds like you're saying is like, okay, it's like we can just get rid of the psych meds, the psychology, all this stuff, and just bring all these schizophrenics into the church and sing a bunch of hymns, and it's going to be okay. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, you couldn't just do that in a day. That would not work out. Your churches would all be on fire.
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying. It's like, because like you see the kind of the problem there, but it's like you go from that to like saying that like psychology is a myth, but you seem to recognize there is something to it. Well, if it's not like 100%,
because it's impacted society so much that we've all kind of become dependent on it. So you can't just get rid of it. It's like it's the same thing with like voting. If I say certain people shouldn't be allowed to vote, we have to work with the system we have and make slow changes. You can't just abruptly end it. That would not work. So since we are currently dependent on it, we would have to slowly move away from that.
But like you're not really giving the reason though. But like I do also want to recognize that I am coming close to my time as well, so I don't want to kind of infringe on anyone else in the backstage as well. But like in terms of the whole kind of stage, like if we were to kind of say like the repeal the 19th or whatever, in terms of the voting things, like we could easily kind of like just switch that to the next day, and then we could have even kind of like retroactively like work back from, because like you can kind of look at based on the polling data, we would have had like a better presidents, at least in my opinion. But particularly when it comes to schizophrenia or whatever, like it seems as though it's like you do recognize that like there is something to it, if not like directly kind of like reconciling it, but that whole kind of like where we kind of walk down where it's like demons is kind of like disorder, and then they're like there is kind of medication there, and there's kind of like more kind of serious symptoms like or conditions like schizophrenia.
But even the medications, just remove all this. Even the medications, the people become tolerant to them, and then they have to try a new medication, and then they'll switch you to a new medication. These medications aren't curing the schizophrenia; they're not solving the problem. It's just putting a Band-Aid on it.
It's not a cure, but it is a treatment.
Yeah,
and like you mentioned there as well, it's like at least it's a better treatment than because
A
like you were kind
lobotomy
of saying
is a
there, it's like
treat-
just bringing them out to church ain't gonna.
Yeah, a
know?
lobotomy is a treatment. Like, yeah, we can
No.
just remove half of their brain. That's a treatment too.
Like that's like saying like death is technically a treatment.
Yeah, I know. That's the point I'm making. Yeah, I was gonna go there too. Yeah.
But like you were kind of saying there, it's like given the option between the antipsychotics or the church. You were saying no, like we can't just kind of like just bring them down to church. Like you're saying that it's a spiritual issue, but then you're also saying no, we can't just take away the drugs.
Because our culture
But
is
then
so
you seem to have a
screwed
problem
up.
with the drugs.
How come we have more mental illness, the more psychologists and the more medications and the more diagnoses we get? Shouldn't the number of mentally ill people be going down if we're making all these improvements in psychology and all these improvements in medicine? Shouldn't we have less mentally ill people, but we have more?
Yeah, but I'm giving you a specific thing of the schizophrenia. Like we can like I already kind of like mentioned that in the opening part where I was like, yeah, no, like this whole kind of gender dysphoria thing, like that's like something that you literally can't prove. Like there's a reason why they call it gender affirming care, because they're basically telling the psychiatrist you have to affirm their gender, otherwise you lose your license. Do you know what I mean?
All right,
Whereas when we get to a thing like schizophrenia, it's more serious or more kind of like well documented, and there's actual medication behind it. But yeah, I don't want to take anyone else's time.
Yeah, that's
Appreciate you
coming
having
up
me up.
right there in 10 minutes. But yeah, thank you for calling in. I appreciate it.
Yep. Thank
Come
you,
up to
Jerry.
the after party. I'm sure these arguments will get further in there.
Thank you, little Lucky Charms man.
Our next caller up here, we got Mr. Mosman.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. We can
All right,
hear you.
I'm going to try to go through as much as I can, as quickly as I can possibly. I wanted to make, first of all, a note that you guys, you did a good job. However, there were times where the other person, there was maybe some confusion or something about what the terminology is, and so I'm going to go into some categorical errors that have been mentioned. But I want to say that James, if you would have asked a similar question to what Teriak just asked about the spiritual care, you saw where Josh kind of doubled. He kind of had to come back a little bit, and that to me is an acknowledgement that some of these things you can't just do that, you know. So, but some categorical, some definitions real quick. First of all, disorder is something that's a chronic condition that you have. So, for example, I have Addison's, which is a chronic disorder. I will never get rid of my Addison's.
Yeah.
Illness is when you get sick, right? And it's a temporary thing, right?
No, it used to be. Now illness is of the mind too. So they've changed the definition.
Right,
of illness.
but that goes back to the issue, which is the issue psychology. The other categorical error I want to start off with is, and I have to just give Speakeasy a little jab here, but as the token, and Farney knows exactly what I'm talking about. As a token fan, J.R. Tolkien, I gotta say that myth means traditional story and not necessarily fabrication or lie. But anyways,
yeah, I think we were just trying to come to a good title for the debate, because
I know it works. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But again, this is me. I mean, but I was going to start off by saying, JS, would you go if you have a broken arm, would you go to church and pray about it? But since you just acknowledge you don't believe in broken bones or
oh no, I don't. Yeah, I've never broken a bone.
So, well, just because you've never done it doesn't.
No, don't. It ain't real. Oh my goodness.
But I think also the churches acknowledge that both spiritual and physical aspects of this world are impacting humanity, and the churches acknowledge that both there are physical, mental, and spiritual issues, and to kind of pick one or the other is kind of a disservice to the whole issue, in my opinion. But you said it's natural, and then you said it's spiritual, and I think a lot of people on the surface would ask JS, how do you would say that something that's spiritual is natural?
I'm not meaning secular naturalism. I'm talking about natural as of God.
Of God, meaning God intended for people to have mental illness.
No, God intended for people to suffer and to struggle.
So that was intent. His intent was for people to suffer.
Well, What did he intend for people?
What
to
do you define
That
as
was the
spiritual
fall.
as the reason of how this all affects? What's the spiritual aspect that affects it? Besides demonic activity, which you've already amended to.
What's the spiritual childhood traumas, the way that the world. So we're born into a fallen world, fallen parents, imperfect parents, an evil world, and
Okay.
all of these things work on us throughout our lives, and they affect us physically, they affect us mentally, but the root is our spirit. Our spirit is under attack by the whole world every second of every day. We're constantly battling with spirits.
So,
with,
wouldn't the best position to be to say that that psychology, because it has its flaws, it has, and I asked that question about whether or not how we're going to categorize psychology, because things like clinical psychology and cognitive psychology, which stem from the Freudian type of psychology, psychoanalysis, is completely different. Behavioral psychology actually has gone against that. And so, and that's interesting that James talked about behavior, because to me, I have read a couple of books, and one of the ones that has been really interesting to me is this doctor talking about how 80% of autism is actually narcissism, and it's a behavioral defect. And you talked about behavior, and my question to you is, would you acknowledge that a lot of people who are on the spectrum are maybe, it's not a physical or a mental issue as much as it is either a moral or a selfish aspect in that regard of narcissism? Because I would say that narcissism is a mental it's a mental disorder it's a moral disorder of some kind. It's a moral lessening. So what would you say to that, James? So do you think there's a possibility that some of the people that are on the spectrum are also narcissistic, or that what would attribute to some of their autism would be narcissism?
Well, was that to me or JS?
That's to you, buddy.
Okay, my bad.
You're good.
I would possibly. I mean, I don't really know, but I've never really heard this idea of like a full out. Like I think I've heard it briefly about people being narcissistic on the autism spectrum, which I can possibly agree, because I do struggle with being a little bit narcissistic sometimes. Like I'm very selfish.
Gotcha.
Sometimes in certain particular areas of life. So I could definitely see how it could be a thing.
Oh, I think it makes a lot of sense, because when you look at people who tend to be children, and a lot of people who are autism, sometimes they'll act out like children. I think that common denomination is selfishness, narcissism. And I think the whole idea of adulthood is when you start to realize, oh, wait a minute, it's not just me. I've got family. I've got responsibilities to the society. You develop those things. And as you do, and I know, for example, a lot of people thought I was on the spectrum, but I actually made a game which was called Detective. And I would actually ask questions that I wasn't interested in. Because as a Star Wars geek, that was like my lexicon, and it took me for a long time to realize. It took me to my 20s to realize not everyone you meet likes Star Wars. I mean, they're bad people. No, just joking. But
hey, I guess I'm a bad person.
I'm just joking. I
love Star Wars.
No, I'm just saying people who didn't know Star Wars or didn't like Star Wars were bad. I was making that joke. And then my last thing is, aren't you really just affirming James's position, JS, when you say, look, I realize there's, because to me, what it comes down to is how we categorize it, and coming up with a better system, and acknowledging the bad things that have come out of psychology, like Freud giving people cocaine, or even of recently, the last decade, where they started to realize that like antidepressant drugs don't actually work on people of clinical. They have no effect on people of clinical who are defined as having clinical depression. So if we can actually make a system of how we can address when it's a spiritual issue, a physical issue, or a mental issue, isn't that really the best way of dealing with this going forward? And for kind of acknowledging that maybe these things are there, James kind of mentioned that. He talked about how there needs to be reforms. And that doesn't necessarily mean that people who have mental issues or have legitimate issues that are caused by things, because here's the thing. We know that trauma causes changes to your brain. They've actually, I know you don't probably believe in x-rays or whatever, but they've done or MRI or whatever, or MCATs or whatever, but
X-rays
MRIs
are
or whatever.
fake, dude. There's no way.
But the other thing I was going to ask you too on that is, we also know that there's other aspects to this as well. We know when people get heart transplants, there's changes to their heart. And if you're talking about a soldier who sees someone die, okay, maybe I could acknowledge its root cause is spiritual decay in the world, but you can't say that was a spiritual thing that caused that trauma. So there's
the trauma
physical
is
aspects.
spiritual.
Okay, but so if it's just spiritual, then why would it cause things like changes to your brain chemistry?
If it was just mental and we were just like animals, we wouldn't have any problem seeing a dead body. We wouldn't have any problem eating a dead body.
All right. Well, that's all I have to say. I know there's a lot of stuff. I just wanted to kind of give you a fast and furious on that. So I'll step down. Thanks, guys.
Well, thank you for calling in. And next we got the Farney.
Oh,
Farney, you're muted.
you're muted. Yeah.
I was like, oh, one second.
Must be
All
a
right.
Canadian thing.
Yeah. Thanks for having me, guys. Good job, both of you on the debate. Good job modding. It's always a modder's dream when he doesn't have to intervene at all, right? Thanks for also shouting out the channels. Since Easy was giving the debaters love, for those of you who are here that have not given Easy love, give them some love, give them a like, give them a sub, guys. Mods need some loving too.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure. James, I love you, man, but I'm going hard on you because this is a stupid field and it should be abolished. So,
damn, party coming on the side I didn't expect. Let's go.
So, to address what Mosman just said, well, why would it have mental effects on you and such? Well, even Eastern Orthodoxy acknowledges the fact that if you do something such as a lesser of two evils, and one of the evils that you do needs to be done, it still has damaging effects on you. So there is still an acknowledgement in Christianity that there is actual ramifications for doing sin in this world or having sin done upon you, such as the fact that you don't inherit the sins of your father, but you do inherit the consequences of their sins. In addition to this, and I know I'm going for you guys, but Mosman, it can never be reformed because by its nature, it is a secular field and it is not even allowed to have religion, which goes to my first point. And these are all to you, James, so get ready, buddy. So literally their view on mental health is what is healthy is a subjective view because they don't even believe in objectively good or bad. They believe in subjective good or bad. So how could they ever have an objectively healthy view under a secular system?
But don't they have the DSM-5 outlines what they would consider the symptoms of different things like autism and bipolar and things of that nature?
And has that changed over time?
Yeah, of course. As they've studied
and is
more
it so?
and
Would it be
everything.
good that it would change? Like it would be safe to assume it's going to change in the future as well, right?
Well, if you study something, it's obviously going to change. Like
So
how
it's
you
never
do
going to be
something.
objective, correct? It's going to
It will
be based
eventually be
on the subject.
objective once you
That
study.
that's assertion without any evidence, correct?
Well, you can do a lot of assertion without any evidence, though.
Yes,
That
you
doesn't
can, and it doesn't work, man.
really mean nothing, though.
Yeah,
It doesn't mean that
so
it can't be objective. Like,
if the worldview that they're using is a worldview of subjectivity, is it not safe to say that they will never be able to do the objective because it is literally not a tangible thing? Like JS was saying, it is a metaphysical field, so it can never actually be objective from their worldview.
How can it not ever be
because it's
objective in a
metaphysical.
worldview?
They don't believe in moral absolutes, for example. They believe in subjectivity.
Well, that's why you have to reform it and change it, and then give them moral absolutes.
That would require abolishing the field, because the field is secular by nature. You'll understand perhaps when we go on,
But not all psychologists are secular, though, are they?
Most.
It doesn't matter what they are, because, and this goes into my second point, I put them in good order here, so don't worry. So as a professional in the field, you actually cannot use, whether you're creating the criteria or being in the at the macro level, or whether you're at the micro level, you cannot use Christianity from the stance of their field. That is one of the reasons I never went into therapy, even though people told me I should be a therapist.
Well,
you are banned from using it.
Couldn't you still use the moral principles though of Christianity? And
you would have to somehow ground it in their secular worldview, which is impossible because Christianity makes absolute claims about objectivity when it comes to things like morality.
But couldn't it be reformed to actually have these Christian, morality points that we would believe
No,
in?
that's why I started with the beginning statement, is for you to understand that the whole field is a rejection of Christianity. It is based in secularism.
They rejected it based on based on how they set a standard. You can reform the standard, though.
No, because that would now be introducing elements of Christianity, which would alter the field entirely, because the field is working from a framework which rejects the idea of the spiritual aspect.
So you're saying that mental illness is purely just physical? I mean, spiritual, not physical as well? Not both?
I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm saying the field of psychology and therapy is a secular field that bars Christianity from having any sort of influence on it, where it's using it kind of thing, where it's saying the reason I'm having these boundaries is due to Christianity.
Well, why can't you just simply reform it, though, over time?
Because
it may not necessarily
literally
be a day one thing, but you can reform it, though.
Because it doesn't even make sense with their worldview. They don't, like he was talking about with the idea of Freud and all that, that was all based on secular ways of looking at things. That's not based on Christianity ways of looking at things. So if you're denying, go ahead.
Couldn't it be changed, though, through time?
I don't think so, man. I don't think so, because it would become a new thing. It would no longer be what it is, which is a secular worldview creation, to now being a Christian one or a Christian included one. It would be closer to what JS is talking about, which would not be the same beast. It'd be a new beast all of its own. I have a lot more if you don't mind, man. Like,
so how would you? You got about 3 minutes left.
All right, yeah, James, just let me go on. Right, we can expand upon this at a different time. I want you to know as well that with therapy, there's going to be a couple of statements here, and then followed with the last part of this point. So I don't know if you're aware, but 10% of people that go into therapy are actually worse off from going into therapy. 18% actually gain a dependency on their therapist. So that's a total of 28%. So that's basically a 1 in 3 have a negative outcome from going to therapy. And then in addition to that, they do acknowledge that as a result of therapy, a percent of their patients become self-indulged and selfish. Why do you think it is that they don't record that percent?
Well, that would probably be because they don't want. There's no incentive for them to report that, though.
Do you think perhaps because it would be showing the glaring
if they're going at it from
practice?
A money aspect, which is
do you
what?
Think it's, yeah, I agree.
Not only psychology does is go at it from a money. It's too money hungry. But again, that would be reformed. That would be arguments.
What? So it would be a free service where nobody
No,
gets
not
paid?
free. I'm not saying.
Well,
free.
then there's always going to be that incentive, is there not?
There's nothing free, but you.
Then is there always?
It doesn't have to be money, though.
Is there not always going to be incentive then?
But your
If they
main
always
incentive
get
does
paid
not
for the
have to be
service,
money, though. Your main incentive does not have to be money. There's an incentive,
people want
yes, to
money,
operate.
correct? The average person wants money, correct?
But again, it doesn't have to be your main incentive, though.
It doesn't matter. It will always be an incentive, and therefore they'll always have an incentive not to
but it
point
doesn't have
out
to
the
be your
negative
main
ramifications
incentive.
of the
That's my
practice.
point. It doesn't have to be
All
your
right,
main
we'll move on to
incentive.
the next one because I got very little time. So I don't know if you're aware, but about 29.7% rate for the population of the LGBTQ plus community has mental illness versus 9.1% of non-LGBTQ plus community. So there's roughly about a 20% difference. Now, why does that matter? Is because I don't know if you're aware of this, but did you know that a therapist is not allowed to recommend to a patient that they stop that LGBTQ plus lifestyle?
But again, that can be solved through reform, though. And that's fine that they...
It cannot be solved through reform because literally they believe that it is actually harmful through their
They can reform
purview.
it, though. I mean, it's sad that they do that now.
They believe it to be unethical, James, because that is the foundation of the field. It is a fully secular
But it doesn't mean it can't be changed. The foundation
Yes,
can
it
be
does.
changed.
Because if it became more of what you're arguing for, it would be closer to what JS is arguing for than whatever the hell you're arguing for, which is closer to what this is. It cannot
I'm arguing
be
closer to
this
what
weird
that
mix
is?
thing.
How did you get that out of my whole entire debate with JS? How in the world did you get that I'm arguing that it should be completely secular?
No, I'm saying when
you
you
get
stop
that?
being the secular one, it no longer becomes the field where you're talking about it this way. It becomes the field that JS is talking about it. I probably only have 30 seconds.
I'm simply
Actually,
saying
that is about how much time you have. Yeah.
that we need to
About 30
reform
seconds.
it and even be closer in alignment with God's morality, but not necessarily.
I agree, which goes to JS's. I never agree with this guy,
that's
but
what
I'm sorry,
that's what I
James,
was
man.
arguing was that it has to be reformed.
Well, then you conceded the debate to JS.
No,
man.
I did not. He said psychology.
I love you,
Get rid of
man, but
psychology
like,
in general, period. I never believed in getting rid of psychology.
Let's
reform it. Believe in getting rid of psychology.
Thanks for having me. I don't want to take up any more time. I
Thank you
appreciate
for calling
it.
in,
James, I
Barney.
hope you don't mind me coming in so hard. I love you, man. You did your best to answer, and I hate this field, and it needs to be abolished. Love you guys.
No, it doesn't need to
No
be.
problem, Farney.
Respectfully, no, it doesn't.
Farney, come on up on the after panel. So we got next in line was Mana Reports. Welcome to the show.
Hello, can you hear me? Hey,
Yes,
what's
sir.
up? James, I'm surprised to see you awake, man. What's up, my brother? Nice to see you today.
Yes, sir. You too, sir. Welcome to the show.
Nice. Hey, JS, nice to meet you. First time we meet. Hopefully, we'll debate soon. I just want to go ahead and dive with, on everybody. Melanie, I'm going to get you. Accept a debate with me. Any topic you want, I'll debate you any topic. Let's speak easy, mod it. If you're a furry enough, you would accept the debate, Fur. Now, Farney is actually secretly based. He's trying to argue that it's subjective. Psychology is a subjective science, and I'll prove it to you. And this is my whole argument. Psychology in the Middle East does not have the same, for example, pressure on prescribing medication, pressure on the same results and the same outcomes as the psychology in the Middle and the East, and basically the outcomes are totally different. Like there's still psychology in the Middle East, but it's practiced in a different way. They don't prescribe as much medication as you guys have. It's total subjective science. Do you have anything to say? I thought you were.
But I think that would be because of the culture, though. Arguably, the culture is a lot more.
Exactly, you're right. So
influential on why that is because it's very religious culture.
Well, let me prove to you that psychology is subjective. Let me prove to you that psychology is subjective. By the way, I thought that you guys made a really mishap by not bringing any numbers. I feel like Farney is the only one that brought any numbers in here. Let me prove to you that psychology is a subjective science and doesn't actually lead to any beneficial outcomes. That's what Farney was trying to prove to you, James. James, did you know that in University of South Australia believes that the exercise is 1.5 times more effective to fight depression and MDD than the major prescriptions and let me read it for you. The major leading medications and counseling.
Well, that's the thing. People keep going to medications, and I don't believe in medications either.
Okay, then let me explain to you that the major depression disorder, according to the NCBI, which is the it's the National Center of Biotechnology Information, major depression disorder, MDD, is most commonly treated with antidepressant medication, where second-generation antidepressants are the most commonly prescribed drugs. However, many patients do not respond to antidepressant medications or experience side effects. By the way, also,
yeah, I know.
I know. I've been on medication. Let me give you another reason why. So first of all, proof that exercise is more beneficial than medication, but medication is being prescribed more. Second, increased evidence that placebos are just as effective as your major medication, which creates an issue for you. It's actually, basically, I'm lining up for you why your sciences are not real science. Now, I will give you the conflation. You're thinking about neurology, and that's what Teriak actually conflated. Neurology is the science of objective neurons, objective actual conditioning of the brain, the chemistry imbalances, hormonal imbalances. That's neurology. But that's where I agree with JS. Psychology needs to be abolished in farming. Go ahead.
Yeah, I agree. And they're even actually moving towards subjectivity with neurology too, because now they have things like neurodivergent disorder and stuff like that, which is totally BS. Every girl is neurodivergent now.
Call for reform.
Yeah, reform the system and make it spiritual counseling. I agree.
No, you cannot keep. This is a lazy answer, James. You have to concede that your system needs reforming because it failed. It's a failure of a system. Right. That's why you need to reform.
It's not a concession. It's not a concession at all.
Then why do you have to reform your system?
Why do I have to reform it? Because it has problems, like any other system that developed over time. It wasn't always like this, though.
So
to be fair, I would also agree because like James is saying it needs to be reformed, but he's not conceding that it doesn't exist. This is two different things. So I would, to be fair, James is correct here.
Okay,
but JS is trying to say mental health, period, doesn't exist and everything.
No, okay.
I'm, however, saying that mental health is real, and it's
mental health exists. Mental health issues exist, but you do not solve them with the lead counseling and psychologists and leading.
Well, I never said that you solve them.
The evidence shows exercise.
I never said that though. I said reform, that the system needs to be reformed.
Reform what?
I never said medication.
Let me give you an example.
Give an example of a reform that we could do.
Do what?
Give an example of a reform that we could do.
For one, bring the insane asylums back. For number one. Okay. I done said that multiple times. Bring the insane asylums back.
Let me give you guys. This is the final statistic. I'm so ready for this. I'm so ready. Did you know that mental health issues have a high correlation with cardiometabolic risk factors? And I'll explain what cardiometabolic risk factors mean. But did you know that there's a study that shows almost 60% correlation between cardiometabolic risk factors, aka obesity, and mental health issues? Did you know that?
Well,
so how can you say psychology needs to exist if the number one correlatory is that you're obese or you have cardiometabolic risks and risk factors? Instead of giving the exercise, which is showing that 1.5% times better than leading medication and counseling, the psychologist is going and prescribing, according to the NCBI, he's prescribing still medication over exercise, even though the University of South Australia shows that 1.5% more effectiveness than leading medication. Also, that placebos actually play the same effect as your medication. Therefore, how can you say that psychology needs to exist? Wouldn't you say actually gym trainers should exist better?
Well, again, does that mean that we shouldn't study the human mind though?
That's neurology.
And that mental health doesn't exist though, and there's not mental issues that we need to understand and
James,
everything.
You're conflating.
That means psychology needs to exist. It just needs to be reformed though.
No. You can't reform
Psychology
psychology.
studies the human mind and the behaviors.
James. Okay. You're a doctor. You're a psychologist.
No, I'm not.
The
No,
number
I'm
one
not a psychologist.
prescription. I'm giving you an example. You're a psychologist. The number one prescription you should give is exercise. Instead, you're giving medication. How do you reform the system?
Well, you give them exercise as a prescription instead of medication.
Then you don't need psychologists anymore. You need counseling.
Yeah, you do, because you need to know what's
somebody that moves you from one phase of life to the other. You need supporting programs. You don't need psychologists. James, you don't need psychologists. You need supporting programs.
Are you saying autism? You don't need to diagnose people that have
That's
autism.
a neurology issue. He needs to take.
That's psychology.
A neurologist who can actually bring chemical balance back.
Diagnose them, sir. Respectfully, sir. You need to know what's going on in their mind to diagnose them.
Did
so you have to study the mind, which is going to require psychology. Psychology needs to be reformed.
Yes, James, I have limited time. Did you know that that's another issue, that from one psychologist to the other, you get a new diagnosis based on which psychologist you go to?
Yeah, I forgot.
Well, that's why we need to reform it to set a standard that everyone goes by.
What are you talking about? This science already exists. It cannot be reformed. This is the standard. The standard is they give, instead of exercise, measured medication and counseling.
They need to change it. It's called.
You can't. This is the system. The system is, instead of exercise, they give placebos and medication. Instead of actually changing and allowing you to move from phases of life, they kind of force you to stay coming back into the same and talking about your same issues. You cannot move forward. Instead of actually giving you the prescription that you need, which is exercise, because cardiometabolic risk factors are correlatory to depression. Instead of giving you all, and mental health and autism, instead of giving you all these solutions to that, instead they're exacerbating the problem. We see that in your society. There's no reform for this.
There is reform. There's reform. There's reform that's possible for everything. If you set your mind to it, you can reform anything and everything.
Well, what if you're mentally ill? How are you going to set your mind to fixing something?
That's why you need people. That's why you need people to help you and represent you. If you can't even fix it yourself.
Teriyak kept conflating psychology and neurology.
I didn't even get into false positives and overdiagnosis. There's overdiagnosis of ADHD now autism, and you kind of got me on one point, James. So in the DSM-4, autism is a developmental disorder. In the DSM-5, the autism spectrum is called a mental illness. So, yeah, it's...
Yeah, so James,
it develops as a study.
So you were half right and I was half right.
It's just like things develop when you study them more, though. When you become
James, here's the point, James. More. James, cardiometabolic risk factors.
I mean, if you want to go even biblical on this, there's a development even biblically, how it goes through things biblically. God's law is the same, but God's law is updated as He gives people more knowledge of His law and stuff. It has more added to it.
Guys, you guys can dive into
not
this.
Like
I have one more minute.
Yeah, make a last point, and then
one last point. So James, here it is. Cardiometabolic risk factors, including obesity, are linked to higher. Here, I'll give it to you. Are linked to actually. Are in individuals with psychotic illnesses is much higher than the observed in national general population. So cardiometabolic risk factors, including obesity, is generally more prevalent in psychotic illness patients than in the general population. Next, exercise proven to be 1.5 times more effective than leading medication. However, according to the NCBI, major depression disorder is most commonly treated with antidepressant medication. This antidepressant medication does not actually show proof of creating better outcomes, because the large placebos actually show the same amount of rates of basically effectiveness. Mm-hmm. And the actual side effects of the medication is another concerning factor. Therefore, psychology is not a needed medicine. Instead, we should be focused more on reducing cardiometabolic risk factors focus more on social programs and programs that help people move through bad phases in life and try to push them forwards instead of get them stuck in this program where you keep taking medication that's unnecessary, that has side effects, that is not actually effective because placebos show the same effectiveness. Therefore, neurology is an objective science because it looks at your neurochemicals and your chemical imbalances, but psychology is not objective. Teriyaki made the conflation there. Psychology is completely subjective. Neurology is necessary. Neurologists are necessary to treat psychosis and spectrum illnesses and autism, but psychologists are not necessary. And we see that in conflating all these issues, not prescribing the correct medicine, and exasperating a health crisis in this new side effects of medication that we see. Go ahead. Sorry. Thank
All
you.
right.
Why can't they
All
all
right.
just work
Appreciate
together?
you. Thank you for calling in,
Accurate.
Manar. And we're also, I'm going to do a little after party after. So if you want to come and hop up there,
Oh man.
you're more than welcome.
You're getting ran through it, James. This is your first debate. You get some experience.
Shit. All right. Next caller we got here is Andrew.
How you doing?
How's it
When
going?
you said Andrew, I thought for a minute.
I know. I thought it was
Nah, there's way too many with my
Yes.
name, boys. Way too many with my names. So this is my thing, okay? This young gentleman that was just up here is talking about medication, health-wise, da-da-da. All right. Now, if we go back into the furthest recorded history, which are caveman drawings, there's plenty sitting there stating that all these issues were there well before modern medication. They just scientists just gave them names. That's all it is. There was nothing back then to help with depression, help with, transferring from a male to a female. Nothing at all. There was no gods, no nothing. It was just them versus the world. Now, here's my thing. When did we go from protecting ourselves to labeling ourselves to be defined?
Well, I'd have to disagree that there wasn't things to help people with mental illness back then. It's called herbs. God made them. Just say.
Understandable with that. But if you look at if you look at cave drawings, many of them, there was no mentions of gods or any type of thing that could declare medications for what we suffer through now. But they did record those who had scientifical, as they say these days, ADHD as hunters. Those who were obese as well-off families. What's the difference now between then?
Are we saying obesity is a mental illness now too?
No, we're not saying that. We're saying nowadays obesity is classified as something disgusting.
Yeah, always it was. It's a gluttony.
Understandable, but if you go back into the cave drawings that have been shown plenty of, those who were well fed were proclaimed as well off.
I don't think ADHD was a thing back then. I think the men had to survive and they had to work and they had to hunt and they were too tired to be worried about mental. There's no depression when you're running from a lion.
But here's the thing: there's always been these mental health, this so-called mental health problems that we have that science has proclaimed names to these days. It's always been through human history. Always. It's just been defined as different names: hunters, warriors, knights, so on and so forth. Never once up until modern history has it been proclaimed as a illness.
Right. Yeah. It's almost like ADHD is the natural state for a young boy. It's like where we should be. We should have trouble focusing and want to burn our energy out and get things done like as men and boys. And then girls are more in touch with their emotions, but now they put young girls on SSRIs because they're too emotional. Girls are supposed to be emotional.
Exactly.
And
yeah, but like I say, with the way the modern world works, though, is that's why these things are a lot more noticeable, though, in the modern world versus back then.
I don't
Because
think it's more
the modern
noticeable.
world's changed compared to hunter-gatherer days.
But who proclaims what's a mental illness? What's a mental illness and what isn't? Is it us
Well,
as a
there's
group? Or is it us as a group? Or is it a bunch of top-notch know-it-alls who are getting paid to define us and segregate the human nature from what we are?
Well, who claims that someone has cancer though? What group does that? What group declares that, and what group declares that it is called cancer? I mean, based on that, I mean, that's semantics. I mean, we need a standard, of course, yes. But
comparing
you
physical
can't
to
say that
metaphysical.
what group does this, what group does that. It's semantics.
The human being has been on this planet for millennia. And now that we are marking down calendars, we have the internet, all this, scientists, okay? We are naming things because people are feeling a certain way. This isn't something new. This is part, if you go and put your DNA in some ancestry type bullshit, you'll find that all your mental issues that they claim you have stem from way back before there was even a record. All this naming and segregating of people is just millennial bullshit.
It's
Because
control.
with thank you. It's all it is control. Just like sorry, some may take offense. Sorry. Okay. I apologize ahead of time. Some may take offense. Just like if you go and look at cave drawings that are recorded, you see no mention of gods, no mention of anything. You see people taking care of people without labels, without what they are. You'd see depicted in certain drawings women with men genitalia.
Well, respectfully, there was no civilization at that time as far as cavemen. So you can't really compare caveman days to now. They didn't make swords either made out of iron until the Iron Age. So I mean,
so hold on. Good debate here. I like where you're going. So don't take this personal, okay? I like where you're going. I like your debate. Just give me 1 second here, okay? So before Iron Age, because men was using clubs and created because humanoid apes created clubs, created cave drawings, created fire. They're null and void because they didn't have iron. Is that what you're telling me?
say the last part again.
Oh, so apes, humanoid apes had drawings, cave drawings.
Yeah.
They had family. They had clubs. They had fire. But from my understanding of what you just said, before iron, that didn't mean shit.
No, I didn't say that.
Okay.
But what I'm saying is they didn't start studying things until there was an actual set-in civilization, though, as far as psychology. Psychology didn't exist back then. No one studied the mind, but people could probably tell that there was issues going on with people. I mean, and they just did what they would normally do, take some herbs, do whatever that would best fit them so they could focus. Because people had certain roles and stuff back then. Like you said, the hunters were the men, right? The women were the gatherers. That was best for them, for those groups.
That's still modern day. Where the men are the hunters and the females are the gatherers. That's still modern day.
If people would live the way they're supposed to, but people don't live according to
who says that's how we're supposed to live? There's no book on how we're supposed to live. We live the way we live.
Natural law tells you how to live. I think there's an objective set of standards that all people, no matter what, should live and how it should go. But there are differences in people, obviously. Like I like a different video game than someone else, and possibly it could cross over with someone, right? As far as video games that we like and stuff. But that doesn't mean that there isn't a set standard that we're supposed to live by. Like
Okay.
you know, not to self delete, not to delete someone, not to, you know, do all these immoral things. You know, there's obviously a set standard. There's a law in nature that is inside of us all. And I think from my worldview that it comes from God. Now, granted, other people may not see it like that, but everyone knows there's a set standard within inside themselves. There's a
Okay.
consciousness.
But here's my question. Here's my question. Okay. All right. Here's my rebuttal. What makes us think it's supposed to be men taking care of the women and not both? And it's not just a modern thing, but it's always been there. But men's been so far shoved up their own ass, they forgot females were the ones that helped them back when the race was a younger race.
Well, I mean, women are helpmates to men.
Yeah, somebody's got to do the laundry.
But women will help
in a
supportive sense, like doing the laundry. Like women will do the laundry, the supportive sense, or cooking, cleaning the house. You know, like in the 50s housewives.
But like I said, what makes you think that women weren't out there partaking in hunts, men weren't out there partaking in gathering, doing laundry?
Most women were not, though. Historically, most women were not. There were a few exceptions where there were women that went to war and all that, but generally, though,
but you see where you caught yourself. There is recorded where some women did.
But not the general rule. We talk about the general rule, not the exceptions. The exceptions can be there, but generally, we have to live by the general rule when we make standards for society.
Okay, so if we look at the general rule for society, women should be under man's thumb at all times.
Well, that's not what I said, though.
No, but general rule of society, if you go and look at it, women should be under the husband's rule at all times and shall not speak without a place.
I'm not saying women can't have opinions. I never said that.
No, I'm not saying. No.
I'm just saying they can't make the final decision.
I'm not saying that's what you're saying. I'm not saying what you're saying.
But the final decision can go to the man, of course.
Yes, I understand what you're saying. I know that's not what you're saying. But if we go by general I can't speak. Sorry. If we go by the insight of what 90% of our history states, women should be under our thumb. Period.
Well, I said those natural laws, though, that we're supposed to follow. Again, it comes from God, though, in my worldview.
And there's my other question. Where is there proof of God?
Well, you can't quantify God. It's not quantifiable.
Oh, young man. Now, you go back to my lovely cave drawings I have already referred to. There was no such thing as God when humans first started drawing and taking shelter and acting like humans. When apes first started acting like humans, and we became from them. There's no general senses of any gods whatsoever other than what is depicted on Egyptian walls.
Because they don't know about God and they didn't know enough to doodle him on a cave wall doesn't mean he wasn't there.
But they're smart enough. They're smart enough to doodle their whole life and everything going on cave walls. Riddle me that one.
Yeah, but you got to think they were separated from God spiritually, though.
Okay. So here's my next thing. Where's the scientific proof any of them ever existed other than drawings?
Where's the scientific proof that people came from monkeys?
We could get into that on the after panel because
sorry,
a little bit of a
little off track.
No, it's all good. It's all good. You got that's your 10 minutes anyways, but
all right. Yeah, sorry about that, guys.
No, that's fine. If you want to come up to the after panel and talk about that, I'm sure lots of people. This topic gets brought up here a lot, so a lot of people like to talk about that. But yeah, I'm gonna put you in the back now, and then on the after panel, if you want to come up, I'll share that link as well. But before we completely wrap this up, I have a question for both. So and this so James, I am on your side about psychology is not should not be completely abolished. I do agree with you with reforming things and stuff like this, but there's something I am gonna disagree with you on. And it's if depression was a real illness that couldn't be fixed without a medical intervention, why do all the medications, literally all of them, the ones that are supposed to help you with depression, have side effects of self-deletion thoughts? I think if this was supposed to be a help, it wouldn't be a side effect that is maybe worse than you were actually feeling, right?
Yeah, and I don't agree with medication. That's the thing. People.
So you'd agree that depression isn't something that needs a medical intervention?
I would say it needs a herbal intervention, not a medical medicine intervention.
Well,
that's still medicine. The herbs are
yeah,
still.
Well, is it? Oh,
like my argument is like I don't want to go too deep into it, but I have this thing where I call it the 11 heaven questions, and basically if you can't answer yes to all those questions, that's your reasoning that you're feeling in a down mood. So basically I've taken everything that I think is the optimal for a human being to be at their optimal. And if you aren't filling out all of these aisles in your life, then there's something you're missing. And if you add these in, I feel like this will help fix it. Where, like, again, with the medical intervention, I find a lot of it is just giving you medications that if you don't take one day, you might feel like off in yourself. Or if you take 2 one day instead of 1, you might feel like it's just like, it's
or if you even take it, you could feel like
right, exactly. A lot of the
because
times
I know that was like that for the medicine that they prescribed to me for my
right. I have a
autism.
buddy, same thing. I have a buddy that went through like 5 different medications, and he's on one now, and he still thinks that there's something wrong. He's like, I don't feel better, and I'm like, yeah, because this isn't what you need, dude. Depression isn't something that needs that. That's not a real medical thing like that. But okay, I get your view on that. And then I also want to ask JS if mental health isn't like a real like thing, the psychological effects that come from like people who participate in prostitution, what would be your explanation for that? And then like also for the like, you know, kids that like get essayed as a child and then grow up and think that that's okay to do to children as well.
Yeah, it's a
what is these?
It's a spiritual trauma. We're in a fallen world, and it traumatizes your spirit and your physical, your spirit. These things can affect your mind, but it's not that you're mentally ill, it's that you're spiritually. And I don't even I wouldn't use the word spiritually ill, because I don't think, or illness shouldn't apply to your spirit, but you've been spiritually traumatized, and the only way to overcome that is God, prayer, a good church community, and then also things like, you know, being active, exercising, and eating healthy. All these things work together to better your state of mind. I just don't like the word mental illness. I don't think these people have a sickness in their mind. I think that it's a spiritual trauma, and we need to focus on that instead of the mental stuff.
Okay. So let me ask you, I think I'm starting to understand. Is it because you connect your mind to your spirit? Like that's what they're in one? Your mind and your spirit are one? Is this why you do this? Or
well, I think it's like a hierarchy. So like the spirit is at the top. It's not one with the mind, but it'll affect your mind. So as far as like psychology and mental health, I would probably concede that I'm okay with the behavioral stuff, studying behaviors of people, because we can look at people how people behave, and we can study that, but we can't study someone's mind or their thoughts. And yeah, I think we're looking at a symptom.
When your spirit is affected negatively, this is what makes it come out in the body negatively?
Yeah, and in the mind and in our actions.
Okay, so you're saying the root of it all is your spirit being affected negatively, and that's where your mind and physical
It follows after
so
that.
Okay.
So if somebody has a mental problem due to something that, how they were raised, the work, it's not just your parents, but your parents, how you were raised, your friends, all these things, they affect our spirit, and then that leads us to how our mind works. And so if we say you're mentally ill, we're addressing the wrong thing. We're addressing a symptom of the problem instead of the root of the problem. And we won't get answers that way. We'll just keep coming up with medicines to shut people's brains down and turn them into zombies, and it's a mess.
Okay, I think I have a couple answers for this, but I don't want to go too long. We can do it a little more on the after party. Oh, okay, hold up. Plastic African, you had came up and went down a few different times. Do you have a question about this debate, or is it something we should save for the after party? Are you there?
Does he know he's up?
I don't hear you.
Yeah, we don't hear you, bro.
Silence. You
Tons of
muted
silence.
yourself, maybe?
Hello.
Oh, there you are.
There we go. Here we go.
There you are.
There we go. So you guys are talking about why people are who they are. So the differentiation. What was it about the mentality of humans, right? That's what you're going for. That's right? Then one guy goes, okay, it's Godhead. The other guy goes, no, it's not. It's just us monkeys. Let's go clash. Man, we're in the end result of this. What do we guys want? I'm sorry. I know this is pretty bad timing for me personally because I waited for this a long time. But I would say that a lot of it comes down to where we are in this time. There has never been that. All right? Personally. I do believe in the Lord Jesus Christ, and because of where it's come from to the Western foundation, what it means. Hence, I'm more of a Freudian than a Jungian. Yeah. So I believe that there is more that we can go through from our parents and our upbringing. Yeah. And that's why it is important, like Lord of the Flies, to create a subdued of discipline to people and responsibility. And that is what's being taken away from many people. That's why they negate it as mental illness or other such problems. And they negate it away. And that's the family feud or the, oh, no, government will help or this will help. It's going to go worse and worse. And it is. Right now, it's really bad, right? Come on, you know it is. Trump's coming in. Everyone's, oh, is Trump the savior? But look at Putin. Is he going to go? What's going to happen soon? I know this is just jumping off tangents here for me.
Yeah.
But I do believe that humans and me and you and everyone around take responsibility. Understand that is, not many people are going to be clever enough to understand that. Academia to the intellectual will never be the same. Well, thanks, guys.
Cool.
Yes, sir. It
Yeah.
needs reforming. The system needs to be reformed.
You can't reform the system in this time. It's too late. We are the children.
No, it's not too late. It's never too late.
Then it's Logan's right.
Where there is God,
then
there
it's
is nothing
Logan's right.
impossible,
No,
sir.
There's no God in
because it-
psychology.
There's no impossibilities.
It's like a
Where
time.
there's God, sir.
Do you know what the Drake equation is? Have you ever heard of the Drake equation?
The Great Equation?
The Drake equation. Have you ever
The Drake
heard of
equation. Oh, no, sir, I have not.
Okay, so the Drake equation dictates that humanity has never been able to find alien life forms because we get to a point of understanding radio length. Yeah? So
Yeah.
we send them out to the universe and we try to listen in. But because we don't get to hear it, because like us, We get to that point, and then we kill ourselves. Done.
Oh,
We're over.
okay.
Finish. And that's like the what's it? What do they call it? Besides the Drake equation, the Great Barrier. Where is human gonna go this way into the universe, or is it gonna conquer itself in? Like,
Wait, what?
so, because
The Drake equation. The Drake equation is like a mathematical formula that they use to estimate like how much, like how many intelligent civilizations there are in the Milky Way. Right?
yes, it does.
You multiply the rate the stars form by the fraction of the stars of the planets, by the fraction of the planets that support life, by the fraction of the planets that develop life. And there's a couple more. You multiply all of this,
Yeah,
and then
exactly.
it gets to
Exactly, and that's
the
what we have.
number of civilizations that should be.
So the terrifying moment
Yeah,
is
but
we're alone. No, but will we get out of this, right? So
but
that's
wait, but wait, where did you get it tells you if civilization is crashing in on itself or moving outwards? I don't understand.
well, it must be, wouldn't it? Where we going to? Where we coming from? Like everything is repeating itself. You know,
No,
as
yeah,
it
but
is.
no, but like all that equation does, right? It just it's an estimate at the number of like intelligent civilizations that would be in the Milky Way, like our
Yes,
galaxy that we're in,
how
right?
we how we can get contact with him. That's the
Well,
break.
no, not how you
Yes,
can.
it
No,
is.
no, that's the thing.
Yes, it
No,
is. No, look it up, man. You see it. No, look at the math.
no,
That's how it
no. You
works.
think it's no. You think it's about
Look at the math.
contacting them, because it's
Yeah.
about when they say intelligent, they also say communicative civilizations, as in like they can
course.
communicate. Not they want you to separate it from animals. That's why they say that. They're not saying to how we can communicate with them.
Tells me to take a shit.
No.
I mean, come on, man.
I have no idea what this has to do with the
Listen.
topic.
No, plastic. Listen, that equation, all it tells you is like different civilizations that would be human-like, because they can't just say intelligent civilizations, because
the Drake
some people will say, well, dolphins are intelligent civilization, or
No,
actually
Drake
dolphins
equation-
have communication, so
oh
it would
my
have to
God,
be like
Drake
something dumber
equation
than a
says
dolphin, but
it's about us understanding
but
radio length.
but plastic, I
and-
don't get what this has to do with the
Well,
topic, and I'm gonna have an after panel, so you're more than welcome to come up and bring up the Drake equation. I've actually looked into the Drake equation before because of something else I was looking at, and I thought it was interesting that they even you know, how they go about doing this. But yeah, come on the after panel. It's gonna be good, so you're more than welcome. All right, I'm gonna throw you in the back for now, and one more time, I want everyone in the chat drop some W's for JS Urban Adventures and James Life Talks. All right, both did an amazing job. Okay, again, make sure you go sub up to both of them. The mods have dropped their channels, plus they're in the titles tagged, so you guys can just click on the title and go over there, give them a sub, give them a like, and if you guys want to, give yourselves a little outro, tell them everything you're on and what you do normally. Again, just one more time.
Yeah,
You go ahead, JS.
Yeah, JS Urban Adventures, Monday Night News Show. I like conspiracy theories. I like theology. I like philosophy, news, politics. And also I throw up videos. My channel started as like a video channel. Now I do more like streams and stuff. But every now and then I'll throw up a little vlog style video or a little cooking video. Just fun stuff. So that's all on YouTube at JS Urban Adventures. And thanks, Easy, for modding. Everything went pretty smoothly. And James, good job on your first debate. You did pretty good. You did better than I expected. Not great, but better than expected. No, I'm kidding.
Oh, that was
Shot fired.
James
That
wants to
was-
do a flat Earth debate, and I'm like, I don't know, but
No.
Yeah. Hey, that'd be fun, especially since they're doing the final experiment. And I don't know if you've been watching all
Going to
that going
Antarctica?
on. Yeah, they're there right now.
Oh, are they? Did they went?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
What final experiment?
Apparently, a lot of flat earthers have changed their minds since the
Yep.
trip.
2 flat earthers and 2 globe earthers got flown on
No
a
more.
trip.
They wanted. There's 12 of each. They
Oh,
wanted
wow.
to do 24 because it was the year 24 on the 20 and they were gonna go on the 24th or whatever. It was supposed to be all 24 just cuz.
They're all going to the South Pole. They're going to watch the 24-hour sun circulate in the sky, which proves that the
exactly
world
in the
is round.
24-hour sun. So that because all flat earthers always use the argument is that not only are you not allowed to go to Antarctica,
which you
well,
are.
this millionaire was like, "Fuck that! I'll show you. I'll just pay them. They'll let me go." What are you talking
Yeah.
about? So he paid for everyone else to go too. And there was a lot of people, even including Eric Dubé, the biggest flat Earth dude, that declined
They
going.
were backing out. They said
Yeah,
they'd go,
because-
and then once they figured out it was
Yeah,
real, they're like,
because-
no, maybe
right. And another thing, a huge part of their theory, Antarctica cannot have a 24-hour sun if the Earth is flat. Even if you do the theory that it's like a spotlight, and over here would be dark, and over here would so it would just go around like a spotlight. Even with this theory, it could not have a 24-hour sun anywhere, and they're just about to get fucked up.
yeah.
I'd like to go there personally and see this. Just out of
Well, they're all live there now.
Well, I want to go there actually in person though and see.
No, I know it would be cool, yeah. But like what this millionaire did is basically he put up a challenge. He said, "I want to do the final experiment. Put out I'll pay for everyone that wants to go," and he got the biggest people on both sides. So it's been a hell of a show. But listen, guys, it's been great. If you guys are you guys coming to the after show, or are you guys doing
James
your own
didn't do
thing? I
his
don't
little
know.
goodbyes.
Yeah, I didn't do my shouting myself out again.
Oh shit, James, my bad. I'm an asshole. James, tell him.
No.
Tell him.
You can be an asshole, right? Like, but let's see. James Live Talks on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. Like it says up here on everything. I also have a gaming channel, James Gaming, on YouTube, Rumble, and Twitch. But I also forgot to mention Twitter again for the James Live Talks. I'm on Twitter. I need to set up my other socials still for that, and I need to set up my socials for my gaming channel as well. So yeah, kind of working on my getting Instagram and stuff worked out for my main channel. Is it's a progress. I'm working on it. So
All right.
yeah.
Well, listen, it's been wicked for both of you. Okay, again, majorly impressed. All right. Especially, the two things that like on both sides majorly impressed me is how good James kept up and did here. And JS's opener, I was like, oh shit, this guy really fucking thought about all this shit.
Yeah, I didn't just pull it out of my ass.
I wasn't expecting.
Well, I
something
poured a lot of
like
mine
that.
out of my ass though, because I didn't take any notes or nothing.
Hey, it's okay. Sometimes, I've had debates where I was like, you know what? I don't care about an opening. I just want to get into it. So
Yeah, I just wanted to get into it because I've never debated JS, so I wanted to
I get
figure out what
it.
it was like. 'Cause,
Yeah.
I can watch all the videos I want, but at the end of the day, I'm not going to know what JS is like unless I've actually interacted.
Straight up.
So
All right, I'm gonna put the link for. Let me make sure I put it here before I put you guys in the back. Here's the link for the StreamYard for the after panel I'm gonna do. It's a little open panel for everyone to chill and talk about whatever. Really, I'm sure more people will get into this topic again.
You're gonna end
Yeah,
this
But again,
stream and
thank you both. It's been fucking. This was a really good one, and it's always good when you don't have to do too much as a moderator. So
yeah. So how did the poll go?
the poll was, let me see, 67 votes, and 52% was on your side, James.
52%.
I won the
It was
debate.
close.
What
It was close.
I
This
won
is
the
why I don't
debate.
believe in
I had to
democracy.
ask about the poll. Even though I saw it, I had
This
to
is why
ask
I don't
about it
believe
because
in
I
democracy.
knew what it was going to say because I saw it. To be fair,
Shit.
I just had to ask
That's
about
crazy close on. You
I
said
had to
57
ask
votes, and it came down to 52%.
Yeah, there was people in the chat that were saying they don't even want to vote because they don't know who won. It was that good.
Huh.
I know Caldy said it was his favorite debate of the year. So,
well, right before New Year, so
it's been real. That's what's up.
Are you gonna shut down this stream and start a new one?
Yeah, because I want this to have its own
Yeah.
thing for everybody to find it and watch the whole thing through.
I'll do the same. I'm gonna walk my dog, and I'll probably jump in like 30 minutes.
All right, word.
Yeah.
All right, man. Just the link will be up over there.
All right, cool.
Word. All right. And chat, listen, you guys, absolutely amazing. All right. This was an amazing debate. We're gonna have an after party now, open panel. Anyone can just come up and chill, talk some shit, we'll get into a bunch of different topics like we usually do, the garage talks type of nights, But I will see you guys over there. I'm rating it. Also, my mods, please drop the link for my other live just for anybody that doesn't have their raid thing turned on. And again, chat, it could be 30.
All right. While Easy says goodbye, guys, my camera's not turned on because, let me see. All right, guys. I'm gonna say goodbye to you guys, and same thing. I want to have this to have its own section, and I might go through and edit it on YouTube Studio and edit out the first hour while we were getting ready, so that in the future when you come, it'll just go straight into the debate in the video. So I'll get that edited up. But thank you guys for hanging out. I can't believe we lost by 2%. That's some beat. I'm so pissed. Like what the bro. We're gonna go back and review this debate, and I'm gonna explain in depth why I won. I'm not taking that L. I don't agree with polls. We never admit defeat. They were ballot harvesting, stolen election. I did not get mogged, but you guys could go hang out at either Easy or James's channel. I'll be back in like 30 minutes. I'm gonna take this stream down. I'll start a new stream, Snore Stream Tuesday, and we'll go hang out on Easy's panel and rematch. Oh, we're gonna do a rematch with Flat Earth. I'm gonna crush him on Flat Earth. Best 2 out of 3. I'm not taking that L. I do not count that as an L. Agreed, JS. That was bizarre. It was so close, though. That's wild. But all right, just watch the channel. Go watch Easy, or I don't really care. As long as you're on one of me, James, or Easy's channel, that's pretty cool. And he'll have his open panel started up soon, and I will be back and restart the stream and jump on there. But I got to take my dog for a walk. I think people voted not on the debate, but on their personal stance on the issue. Yeah, and also James probably has more. I think more people kind of sympathize with James. Like, I had to be very careful not to seem like I was being mean, because yeah, it's a tough one, and it's also there's so many minefields for me, like the PTSD question. If I am not very careful with my words, I'm gonna piss a lot of people off. So and these are hard things to talk about without people getting emotionally invested and getting upset by what I'm saying. So it's hard. It's hard to. It's easy to straw man what I'm saying and think that I'm just being heartless and saying toughen up, get over it. And that's not really the case. So I kind of knew the poll would be. I didn't. That's why I didn't want to do a poll. Josh might edit the poll results. Yeah, we might cut that poll result part out. 2% is close enough for a recount. We're gonna need a recount. You were going soft, Josh. Next time you know better. I know. I should have just went in. James was throwing me off a bit. Like he's kind of losing me, and then we were going in circles, and I was like, how do I get this to my next talking point that I want to get to, but segue it right? It was interesting, but all right. Thank you guys for hanging out. Make sure you hit like button on the way out, and I will be back live in just a little bit. God bless everybody. I'll see you soon. Have a good one. If somebody wants to put Easy's stream in the thing, you can, but I'm going to end the stream right now. Later.